Chapter 101. The Wall Has Ears. Qin Yunhan felt the lingering spark between them. She wanted to stay with Wang Haoran a little longer, but the hour was growing late. "Let me call my driver." Wang Haoran pulled out his phone, his thumb tapping the screen before dialing a fake number. He held the device to his ear, waited a few beats in silence, and then lowered it with a frustrated sigh. "Is no one answering?" Qin Yunhan asked, noting his troubled expression. "No. I have no idea what that driver is doing." Wang Haoran's face clouded with a look of distress. "It's so late. There are hardly any taxis on the road outside the school this time of night. It looks like I'll have to walk back on foot." "Where do you live?" "Le Shui Villa." "It's over that way." Le Shui Villa was the premier wealthy district in Qingling City. It was a 20-minute drive at best. On foot, he wouldn't reach home until the early hours of the morning. "That's much too far to walk. How can you possibly manage that?" Qin Yunhan's worry for him was plain in her voice. Wang Haoran sensed the timing was perfect. "If you don't mind me staying for the night, I could just sleep on the floor." This. Qin Yunhan hesitated, her pulse quickening. "Actually, I just want to talk to you more," Wang Haoran said, turning toward the door with a lonely slump to his shoulders. "But since you're uncomfortable, I'd better start walking." "Wait a minute." Qin Yunhan couldn't stand to see him go. She called out to stop him. "It's not just that I'm worried about you. I was scared just a moment ago. You should stay. Just for one night." The darkness still unsettled her. Having someone nearby would chase away the shadows. Besides, she truly wanted his company. It was only a girl's natural restraint that made her embarrassed to admit it. "Sit wherever you like," she said, her face flushing a deep crimson. I'm going to take a shower." She grabbed a change of clothes and ducked into the bathroom. The summer heat was oppressive. After a long day, the humidity clung to her skin. A girl as meticulous about cleanliness as Qin Yunhan couldn't dream of resting without a bath. As she disappeared from sight, a secret smile tugged at the corners of Wang Haoran's mouth. Avoiding the floor and staying in the room was only the first step of the plan. The next steps were already mapped out in his mind. "The floor is cold, let's share the bed. We are adults, the well water does not disturb the river water. I can't sleep, so let me hold your hand while we dream. Still no? Then I'll just hold you. I'll keep my hand right here and never move. I'll just take a look, only a look. I promise, just a little closer, nothing more." Then, nature would simply take its course. It was a classic routine. Given Qin Yunhan's unwavering favor for him, he was certain she would fall for it. Waiting became tedious. To pass the time, Wang Haoran activated his perspective vision. He originally intended to check how much longer she would be in the shower, but his gaze accidentally caught a glimpse of something else. Xiao Yifeng was in the teacher's bedroom next door, his ear pressed firmly against the wall. Wang Haoran stiffened. The adjacent room belonged to Song Zhenyu, but it was a cramped space with poor facilities. She only used it for the occasional nap during the noon break. At night, it was always empty. This Xiao Yifeng truly lived up to his role as a protagonist. He was eavesdropping with his ear glued to the plaster, his face twisted in a mask of fury. His fingernails dug into the wall, leaving jagged gouges in the surface. The man was clearly livid. He must have been standing there for a while, listening to the intimate chatter between the two of them. He had been forced to swallow a massive serving of dog food, and the jealousy was rotting him from the inside out. "This guy is getting in the way," Wang Haoran muttered to himself, annoyance rising. Zhou Chuchenaya hadn't finished preparing the materials for the poison yet, so that shortcut was off the table. A head-on fight was an option, and Wang Haoran was confident he could win, but the commotion would be deafening. It would utterly ruin his carefully crafted routine with Qin Yunhan. He decided to wait for an opening. Whether Xiao Yifeng was stalking him specifically or obsessed with Qin Yunhan didn't matter. The man was going to make a move. He wouldn't just stand there eavesdropping all night. Eventually, Qin Yunhan emerged from the bathroom, looking refreshed. "My turn," Wang Haoran said with a smile, heading into the shower room. The heat was stifling, and the day's sweat made his skin feel sticky. He needed to wash up, even if he didn't have a change of clothes. He was a man, after all, it wasn't a big deal. Once inside, he didn't turn on the water. Instead, he used his perspective vision to monitor Xiao Yifeng's every move. After lingering by the wall for a few more seconds, Xiao Yifeng grabbed a towel to mask his face. He crept out of the room, scanned the hallway to ensure it was clear, and then approached Qin Yunhan's door. He knocked softly. "Who is it?" Qin Yunhan called out. "It's Teacher Qi. Can you open the door? I've run out of tissues in my room, and was hoping to borrow some." The voice was that of a middle-aged woman. Through the wall, Wang Haoran watched in disbelief. It was Xiao Yifeng speaking. The protagonist was a master of mimicry. How could he possibly produce a woman's voice so convincingly? Inside the room, Qin Yunhan didn't know who Teacher Qi was, but the voice sounded harmless and feminine. She dropped her guard. Taking a pack of tissues, she cracked the door just enough to hand them through, hoping to send the teacher on her way quickly. She didn't want anyone finding out Wang Haoran was in her room. The gossip would be relentless. Before she could even see the person on the other side, a hand shot through the gap. A finger tapped her shoulder with precision. Qin Yunhan felt a wave of sudden, heavy sleepiness. Her strength vanished, and she slumped unconscious to the floor. Xiao Yifeng slipped into the room and clicked the door shut behind him. What is he planning? Wang Haoran watched from the shower, his brow furrowed in confusion. Xiao Yifeng moved toward the bathroom door. He drew a silver needle from his clothing and reached out to knock. Wang Haoran, open the door. The voice was a perfect replica of Qin Yunhan's. Unbelievable, Wang Haoran thought. The show goes on. With his current strength, he could take Xiao Yifeng in a fair fight, but killing him was another matter. At best, he would wound the protagonist and watch him flee. With Xiao Yifeng's medical skills, he would just patch himself up and come back more prepared than ever. Wang Haoran came to a quick decision. Wang Haoran, open up. I brought a towel to help you dry off. Outside the door, Xiao Yifeng continued to imitate Qin Yunhan, his voice dripping with a forced, coquettish sweetness. Wang Haoran nearly gagged. This protagonist was truly revolting. It was bad enough to pretend to be a woman, but to act like one with such sickening flair was almost too much to bear. Chapter 102. The Poison of Jealousy. Okay, I'll open the door right away. Wang Haoran maintained a calm, unsuspecting tone while subtly shifting his position. Using his perspective vision, he tracked Xiao Yifeng's every movement through the door. Outside, the protagonist was already poised, fingers curled into specific acupuncture gestures. It was clear, Xiao Yifeng intended to strike him with the same numbing technique he had used on Qin Yunhan. For a heartbeat, Wang Haoran considered a preemptive strike. A sudden lunge before the door fully opened could catch his rival off guard, but Xiao Yifeng remained remarkably cautious, his weight shifted for a quick retreat. A direct confrontation was too risky. It would ruin the charade. Wang Haoran decided on a different path. As the door swung open, Xiao Yifeng's hand flashed forward, his fingers digging into a vital pressure point. Wang Haoran didn't resist. Instead, he secretly circulated his true qi to cushion the blow, allowing his body to go limp. He collapsed to the floor in a convincing heap. He would wait for the perfect moment, a single, devastating blow to strip Xiao Yifeng of his ability to fight back. Xiao Yifeng stood over the fallen youth, looking down with a sneer of pure contempt. Humph. The eldest miss is mine. You second-generation rich trash dare to chase after her? I'll destroy your manhood here and now. Let's see if you have the face to look at her after this. You brought this on yourself, bastard. Wang Haoran's mind raced as he heard the muttered threat. This protagonist was far more twisted than he appeared. To use sacred medical skills for such a dark, petty purpose was a special kind of evil. You're supposed to be the hero, a positive character, Wang Haoran thought with a surge of venom. Medical skills are for saving lives, not for back alley caste rations. Then again, he remembered the urban hero novels he'd read. The protagonists were often cold-hearted toward anyone labeled a villain. Readers usually cheered for this kind of ruthless behavior. But as the one currently lying on the floor, Wang Haoran found the coolness of the situation entirely lacking. I should just kill him right now. The thought was tempting. Even with his eyes closed, his perspective vision gave him a clear view of the room. However, frustration simmered within him. Xiao Yifeng kept his body in a tight defensive posture even while gloating. There was no opening for a lethal sneak attack. It wasn't that Xiao Yifeng suspected a trap. It was simply the subconscious instinct of a seasoned combatant. Even in a room full of unconscious victims, his body remained ready for a fight. Wang Haoran adjusted his plan on the fly. He would let the scene play out. Xiao Yifeng squatted slowly, pulling a silver needle from his sleeve. He aimed with surgical precision and pierced Wang Haoran near the kidney. A cold burst of hostile energy flowed through the needle. Wang Haoran felt the true qi attempting to invade his system, designed to rot his vitality from within. He wasn't afraid. In terms of raw spiritual depth, his own true qi far surpassed Xiao Yifeng's. He allowed the energy to enter, keeping it contained in a small pocket of his own power. Satisfied, Xiao Yifeng withdrew the needle. I really look forward to the expression on your face when you realize you're no longer a man. But I can't stay. It's too late, and I have to disappear. I'll just have to imagine your misery. The smile on Xiao Yifeng's face was bright, almost triumphant. He had no idea that the moment he turned his back, the destructive energy he had injected was already being neutralized and expelled by Wang Haoran's superior cultivation. Xiao Yifeng checked the hallway. Seeing no one, he slipped out, closing the door softly behind him. He vanished into the school's dark corridors, confident that he had left Wang Haoran a broken man and effectively removed him from the competition for Qin Yunhan's heart. Wang Haoran waited until the footsteps faded before standing up. He moved to the bed and gently shook Qin Yunhan. What happened?" she asked, her voice thick with grogginess as she blinked her eyes open. "Someone broke in. They knocked me out. Are you all right?" Wang Haoran sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing his head and acting half-dazed. "Yes, I remember now. That teacher Qi." She sat up quickly, the fog of the sleeping strike lifting. "It wasn't teacher Qi. It was Xiao Yifeng. I saw his face just before I lost consciousness," Wang Haoran said, his voice firm and certain. "That country bumpkin. Why would he do this to us?" Her voice rose with anger. "He was after me. Look at my waist." Qin Yunhan leaned in, her eyes widening as she saw a tiny, red puncture mark on his skin. A single drop of blood had dried against his side. "What is that?" she whispered, panic rising. "I felt it as I was drifting off. He stabbed me with a silver needle." Wang Haoran's expression twisted into a mask of sudden, agonizing despair. "I've read about this in medical texts. Master physicians can use a single needle to destroy his ability to be a man. Xiao Yifeng must have been jealous of us, so he let his voice trail off into a choked, silent sob, unable to continue. That damn hillbilly. How dare he?" Qin Yunhan was trembling with rage. "I'll tell my father. I'll have him hunted down." "No." Wang Haoran gripped her hand, his face a picture of misery. "If this gets out, I'll be the laughingstock of the city. I won't be able to show my face. Besides, we have no proof. He'll just deny everything. But we can't just let him get away with it. It doesn't matter now. It's already done." Wang Haoran looked away, his eyes vacant. "I've lost my manhood. I don't want to live anymore." No. You have to be strong." Tears began to stream down her face. She reached out, clutching his shoulders. "Your family is wealthy, you have such a bright future. You can't give up. What use is money if I can't be with the girl I love?" Wang Haoran let out a long, hollow sigh. Qin Yunhan felt a sharp pang in her chest. She immediately assumed she was the girl he meant. The weight of his sacrifice crushed her heart. "I'll stay with you," she blurted out, throwing her restraint to the wind. "I'll marry you. We'll be together forever, and nothing will ever separate us." "Really? But wouldn't you despise me? Haven't you heard of platonic love? When two people truly love each other, they don't need that." She flushed crimson, her voice dropping to a whisper. "But I don't want it to be just platonic." Wang Haoran sensed the climax of the scene. He shifted his tone, adding a hint of desperate urgency. "I remember reading that the needle's effect takes 3 days to become permanent. That means I still have a few days before it's gone forever. Unless..." Qin Yunhan froze. The implication was clear, and her face burned with heat. It was sudden, and she wasn't prepared, but she looked at the broken man before her. If she refused him now, in his darkest hour, would he truly try to end his life? Besides, she had already decided she wanted to be his wife. If this was their only chance to have a real memory together before the tragedy took hold, shouldn't she give it to him? "Haoran," she whispered, seeking a final moment of certainty. "Can you tell me that you love me? I need to hear it." For a villain, a lie was as easy as breathing. Wang Haoran leaned in, his eyes shimmering with feigned devotion. "I love you, Yunhan. I will love you for the rest of my life, and for every life after that." The words hit her like a physical force. Her heart felt as though it were melting into a puddle. "Brother Haoran, I love you too. I'll love you forever." Chapter 103. Uninvited Guest. Ding. The host has captured Qin Yunhan, a primary heroine, for the first time. Rewards 1000 villain points. Xiao Yifeng's protagonist halo, -50. Qin Yunhan's heroine halo, -50. Host's villain halo, +100. Ding. Favorability of female protagonist Qin Yunhan has increased by 15. Total favorability 90. Status until death. Ding. The host has influenced the plot. Reward 300 villain points. Wang Haoran savored the influx of rewards. Everything had gone exactly according to plan. He looked down at Qin Yunhan, who was snuggling contentedly in his arms. 2 faint streaks of moisture remained at the corners of her eyes, but these were not tears of sorrow. They were tears of pure happiness. The following day, Xiao Yifeng arrived at the Qin Group headquarters. "Yifeng, have you made any progress with those 3 real estate bosses?" Qin Kai asked the moment he walked in, cutting straight to business. I haven't found anything suspicious for the time being, but I'm keeping them under close watch. If any of them make a move, I'll be the first to know. Xiao Yifeng spoke the lie with practiced ease. He hadn't spent a single second investigating the business rivals. His entire night had been consumed by his scheme against Wang Haoran. Qin Kai didn't suspect a thing, but his expression shifted as he changed the subject. By the way, you mentioned earlier that you saw Yunhan and Haoran getting very close. Is that right? Yes. I saw them holding hands. It was quite intimate. Xiao Yifeng felt a surge of petty satisfaction. While he had promised Qin Yunhan not to mention their excursion to the bar, he had made no such vows regarding their general behavior. I see. Qin Kai sighed heavily. It seems I need to find some time to have a proper talk with my daughter. Xiao Yifeng was overjoyed to hear this, yet a seed of confusion sprouted in his mind. Uncle Qin, I thought your stance was to let things take their natural course. Why the sudden change of heart? I was chatting with an old friend yesterday. Qin Kai's voice trailed off, his gaze fixed on a distant point on his desk. He was complaining that his daughter, who isn't even 20 yet, ended up pregnant because of some boy. It made me think. He was clearly projecting his friend's misfortune onto his own situation. Qin Yunhan was 18, the same vulnerable age. While he wasn't strictly against her falling in love, the thought of her facing such a life-altering consequence was unacceptable. Beyond his fatherly concern, there was the matter of status. Qin Kai was a titan of industry in Qingling City. If his only daughter became pregnant out of wedlock, the reputation of the Qin group would be dragged through the mud. More importantly, he feared the psychological toll it would take on her. By the time he could step in to help, the damage would be done. Xiao Yifeng stunned for a moment before a confident, almost smug smile spread across his face. Uncle Qin, you're worrying over nothing. I can guarantee that will never happen. He felt a wave of triumph. He had used his silver needles to cripple Wang Haoran's vitality. That functionality was gone. Even if Qin Yunhan took the initiative, Wang Haoran would be physically incapable of doing anything to her. Qin Kai's fears were entirely unfounded. Why are you so sure? Qin Kai asked, struck by the absolute certainty in the young man's tone. Well, Uncle Qin, didn't you say it yourself? Wang Haoran has a respectable character. Even if he loves the eldest miss, he wouldn't easily do something so deviant. And she isn't the type to be careless. You can rest easy. Xiao Yifeng couldn't reveal the truth about his medical sabotage, so he offered a plausible cover story instead. You're right. Haoran is a good kid, and while Yunhan can be willful, she has a sense of propriety. Qin Kai felt the tension leave his shoulders. The office door opened, and an assistant stepped inside. Mr. Qin, there is a woman in her 40s at the front desk. She doesn't have an appointment and refused to give her name, but she claims to be from a place called Fengzi Mountain. The words no appointment almost prompted Qin Kai to dismiss the visitor, but the mention of Fengzi Mountain hit him like a physical blow. His face paled, and he stood up abruptly. Hurry, bring her here immediately. The assistant blinked, startled by the boss's uncharacteristic loss of composure. It was the first time he had seen the composed CEO look so rattled. Yes, President Qin. Right away. Uncle Qin, are you all right? Xiao Yifeng watched the older man carefully. It took a long moment for Qin Kai to find his voice. I'm fine, he muttered, though his eyes suggested otherwise. A few minutes later, the assistant returned with a middle-aged woman. She possessed striking phoenix eyes, an oval face, and a distinctive red mole centered between her eyebrows. Though time had etched fine lines on her skin, her elegant posture and sharp features suggested she had been a rare beauty in her youth. It's not her. Qin Kai whispered the words to himself, a flash of profound disappointment crossing his features, before he regained his mask of professionalism. You say you are from Fengzi Mountain. Who are you? What is your connection to her? My name is Feng Rong. I am her sister, the woman replied, her voice calm and melodic. I have come to see her daughter in her stead. Qin Kai nodded slowly. Those from Fengzi Mountain all took the surname Feng. His wife, Qin Yunhan's mother, was Feng Yun. Due to the strict, ancient dictates of her home, she had been unable to leave the mountain for 18 years. Is she well? Nostalgia and longing shimmered in Qin Kai's eyes. My sister is very well. You have no need to worry. Feng Rong's response was polite but distant. Where is my niece? You've traveled a long way. Please, allow me to show you some hospitality. I will take you to see Yunhan shortly. Qin Kai was desperate for more news of his wife. He signaled to his assistant to arrange a luxury hotel for their guest. As the assistant led Feng Rong away, Xiao Yifeng spoke up. She knows martial arts. He had observed her gait, light and precise, and noted her long, rhythmic breathing. These were the unmistakable signs of a practitioner with deep internal strength. Yes, Qin Kai nodded, showing no surprise. I've heard the old man speak of Fengzi Mountain, Xiao Yifeng continued, his curiosity piqued. It's a martial arts sect that has endured for centuries with very strict traditions. I didn't realize your wife was a member of such a secluded group, Uncle Qin. It was an unusual union. Secluded sects were obsessed with bloodlines and talent, rarely allowing their members to marry outsiders, especially businessmen. It is a long story, Qin Kai sighed, his tone heavy with secrets he wasn't ready to share. Xiao Yifeng recognized the boundary. He didn't push further. Instead, he bowed slightly to show his support. Uncle Qin, whatever you need, beyond my duties to the eldest miss, you only have to ask. Chapter 104. The Wolf King appears. Qin Kai was overjoyed at first, but then a shadow of doubt crossed his face. He shook his head. Perhaps it is difficult for you to help. There are always higher mountains and greater people, Uncle Qin. Although Fengzi Mountain boasts many masters, they cannot simply run wild. Xiao Yifeng's voice rang with absolute confidence. Take Feng Rong, for instance. Her martial arts are respectable, but if I chose to act against her, I could subdue her in 3 moves. Xiao Yifeng relied on the tutelage of his master, an expert who lived apart from the world. Though the old man stood alone, his power was enough to overwhelm 99% of the hidden sects. With such a backing, Xiao Yifeng had no reason to fear Fengzi Mountain. I appreciate the sentiment, Yifeng, Qin Kai said, a happy smile returning to his lips. But our top priority remains finding the mastermind behind the kidnapping attempt on Yunhan. Night falls over the city. Inside a high-end bar, a man with neat, short hair sat on a raised platform, lazily swirling a glass of red wine. He looked to be about 35 years old, sporting a light beard and a face carved from granite. Every line of his features suggested a reckless, toughened history. His white shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, revealing the looming shadows of toned muscle. Just below his neck, a hideous, round scar peeked through. To a trained eye, the mark was unmistakable, a healed gunshot wound. A single wolf tooth hung from a cord around his neck, adding a touch of wild, primal charm to his masculine scent. He wasn't classically handsome, but he radiated a raw, hormonal magnetism that served as a fatal attraction for a certain type of woman. He had been sitting there for less than 5 minutes before several women in heavy makeup approached, attempting to strike up a conversation. However, the man was picky. He didn't spare a glance for the ordinary. His eyes scanned the room, moving like a predator through the dim light. He preferred to be the hunter, not the prey. Finally, his gaze settled on a woman across the room. She looked to be about 28. She wasn't a conventional beauty, possessing a fuller, softer figure that a younger boy might overlook. To a veteran like him, however, her curves spoke of a different kind of allure. The woman's expression was heavy with melancholy. On the ring finger of her right hand, she gripped a wine glass, the facets of a massive diamond ring catching the strobe lights. Based on its size, the stone was worth at least $1 million. The man watched as 7 or 8 different suitors approached her, only to be sent away by her sullen glare. He made his judgment. She was a woman of good standing, wealthy and respectable. She hadn't come here for a cheap thrill, she had come to drown her sorrows. Usually, that meant emotional trouble. Nothing delighted a romantic rogue more than dragging a housewife into the deep end, or persuading a miserable woman to find a new path. He was no exception. He didn't move immediately, choosing instead to wait for the perfect opening. A premature approach would only result in a public rejection. The mobile phone on the table suddenly vibrated. He picked it up and checked the caller ID. After a few seconds of hesitation, he answered with a reluctant growl. If you're calling to tell me to come back, you'd better shut up, he said. Those bastards in the Lucifer mercenary group are getting too arrogant, an impatient voice barked from the other end. In less than 3 months, the Blood Wolf group you founded might be disbanded. How can you be so calm? I'm retiring. I don't care about those things anymore. I can't believe those words are coming from the Blood Hell Wolf King. You're at the top of the international mercenary list. Why the sudden change? I'm getting married soon, the man the Wolf King replied. You're joking. What woman could possibly hold the heart of the Blood Hell Wolf King? It's a marriage contract arranged by my elders. As a junior, I should show some respect. The Wolf King offered the explanation casually. In truth, he had never even seen the woman's face. He didn't know her height, her personality, or her looks. The only piece of information he possessed was her surname Tang. When you were in the Sinada range, you were surrounded by 50 heavy weapon teams, the voice persisted. You destroyed them all by yourself. Who in this world can stop you? I don't believe a piece of paper can bind the Wolf King. The title of Blood Prison Wolf King is dead. My name is Yangui Shan, and I am in Qingling City. If you call me again for anything other than a social visit, be prepared to spend 3 months in a hospital bed. That's all. Yan Guishan hung up the phone. His attention returned to the bar, where a group of local gangsters had surrounded the woman he was watching. No matter how she tried to wave them away, the thugs refused to leave. The stage was set. Yan Guishan drained his glass, an evil smile playing on his lips. He stood up and began the long, slow walk toward his target. During the break for evening self-study, Mu Xiaoxiao leaned toward her friend with a playful grin. Sister Yunhan, did you manage to fall asleep all by yourself last night, without me there to protect you? Of course I did. But you're so afraid of the dark. I thought you'd be awake until dawn. It was just like you said, Qin Yunhan replied with a bright smile. As soon as I lay down and closed my eyes, that was it. I slept until I woke up naturally this morning. She was indeed afraid of the dark, but she had slept soundly. Of course, she had also been quite exhausted. I'm so hurt. You slept like a baby while I tossed and turned all night, Mu Xiaoxiao pouted. It's fine. You're going home tonight, so you'll get used to it after one more night alone, Qin Yunhan said. Wang Haoran had convinced her that his ability would vanish within 3 days. He had suggested they spend every possible moment together to create memories for the future, and she had readily agreed. She couldn't let Mu Xiaoxiao ruin her plans. I went home to see Grandpa yesterday, but I'm staying with you tonight. Mu Xiaoxiao shook her head. Xiaoxiao, you really should go back. Think about it. We can't live together forever. One day, we'll be separated. It's better to get used to it now so you aren't lonely later. I don't ever want to be apart from you. I want to sleep in the same bed as you for the rest of my life. Mu Xiaoxiao laughed and squeezed Qin Yunhan's arm. Don't be silly. I'm going to get married eventually. You can't sleep with me then. Qin Yunhan poked her friend's forehead. Mu Xiaoxiao snorted in surprise. Sister Yunhan, you're only 18 and you're already thinking about marriage? Aren't you ashamed? You're laughing at me? As if you'll never marry. I haven't thought about it at all. Mu Xiaoxiao shook her head. Well, don't worry. You can think about it later, but I really don't want to leave you. Mu Xiaoxiao's brow furrowed, but then her eyes lit up with a sudden, mischievous spark. Sister Yunhan, I have an idea. Why don't we just marry the same person? Qin Yunhan stared at her, stunned. You're a fool. A man can't have 2 wives. It's against the law. We'll just marry him together. I don't need a certificate. I'll just be a little wronged and serve as your husband's concubine. Mu Xiaoxiao giggled. You really are. Qin Yunhan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. So, what do you think? Qin Yunhan was used to her friend's flighty, nervous energy. She assumed it was just another joke. You're going home tonight. Do you hear me? Qin Yunhan dropped the joking tone and gave her a fierce look. Fine, Mu Xiaoxiao agreed, looking properly aggrieved. Chapter 105. Capture the Protagonist. This Qin Yunhan is quite a talented little liar, but I wonder, is Mu Xiaoxiao telling the truth? If she is, I certainly won't object. Wang Haoran leaned back, a smirk playing on his lips. He had been listening to the feed from the monitoring virus he'd planted on their phones, and the girls' private conversation provided excellent entertainment. The day's classes blurred together and passed quickly. When the final bell rang for evening self-study, Wang Haoran took his time leaving the classroom. He moved with a leisurely pace, mentally preparing to slip into Qin Yunhan's bedroom later that night. Across the school, Qin Yunhan was a bundle of expectant nerves. She hurried toward her dormitory, her heart racing, when her phone vibrated. It was a call from her father. Dad, if you're calling to talk me into moving back to the villa, I'm going to hang up, she said, her expression tightening. Yunhan, I only hired Xiao Yifeng to keep you safe. Are you still angry with me? Qin Kai's voice was gentle, pleading. Don't even mention that man. I wish he were dead. The fire in her voice was cold. Xiao Yifeng had hurt the person she loved and, in her mind, had indirectly sabotaged her future happiness. Her resentment was a physical weight. What happened? How did he provoke you this time? Qin Kai asked, alert to the sharp shift in his daughter's tone. He. She bit her lip. She wanted to scream everything at him, how Xiao Yifeng had attacked Wang Haoran with those needles, how he'd ruined everything. But the words stayed locked in her throat. What did he do? It's nothing, she said vaguely. I just hate him. I can't stand him. Fine, I won't press the issue for now. Qin Kai shifted to a more serious tone. There is someone here who wants to see you. Come to the school gate. I'm waiting for you. I don't want to see anyone. I'm not coming. She pouted, her frustration mounting. This person is related to your mother. She is your aunt. The defiance drained out of her. Mom. The word felt foreign. Her father had told her long ago that her mother left shortly after she was born, moving to a place far away. In her life, mother was an unfamiliar concept, represented only by a vague, gentle figure in her imagination. Wait a moment. I'm coming right now. She hung up and quickly tapped out a message to Wang Haoran. Brother Haoran, my father is here. He wants me to meet him at the school gate for something important. I'll be back at the dormitory a little later. Okay, came the instant reply. Wang Haoran had already heard the entire exchange through his virus. He pocketed his phone and immediately changed direction, heading toward the gate. The mention of an ant sparked a memory of the message he'd received from the eagle. Phoenix eyes. A red mole between the eyebrows. A middle-aged woman. He had never met any of Qin Yunhan's relatives, but the description was an exact match for the third piece of intelligence regarding the mastermind. He knew it paid to be cautious. With Qin Kai and Xiao Yifeng likely together, and given the law that a protagonist's presence usually meant trouble, he wanted to see the situation for himself. He reached the gate and activated his perspective vision. A luxury business car sat idling by the curb. Li Bo sat in the driver's seat. Inside were Qin Kai, Xiao Yifeng, and a middle-aged woman. The woman had sharp, phoenix eyes, and a distinct red mole between her brows. Wang Haoran's eyes narrowed. This was the woman Eagle had warned him about. At the school gate, the car doors opened. Qin Kai, Xiao Yifeng, and Feng Rong stepped out as Qin Yunhan approached. Dad, I don't want to see him. Make him leave. She pointed an accusing finger at Xiao Yifeng, her eyes flashing with renewed anger. The memory of what he'd done to Wang Haoran was fresh and agonizing. She couldn't play nice anymore. Xiao Yifeng looked surprised. He wondered if she knew about the report he'd given her father, but he hadn't expected this level of vitriol. After all, he'd kept his word about the bar. He'd only mentioned the hand-holding. Miss, we had an agreement, Xiao Yifeng said, his voice carrying a subtle, threatening edge. You were going to treat me as a guest. He was reminding her of the leverage he held over her secret nightlife. Get out of here. She didn't let him finish. Her voice was loud and decisive, her composure crumbling under the weight of her fury. Yunhan, be polite. We have a guest. Qin Kai frowned. His daughter was acting erratically, but this wasn't the time for a lecture. He wanted to give Xiao Yifeng a dignified exit. I don't care. If he stays, I'm leaving. Seeing the girl was at her breaking point, Qin Kai turned to the bodyguard. Yifeng, it's been a long day. Why don't you go back and get some rest? Very well. Xiao Yifeng took the opportunity to save face and turned to leave. However, as he walked away, he caught a meaningful look from Qin Kai. He understood the silent command. He didn't actually leave. Instead, he circled back, slipping into the shadows to keep watch. There are too many people here, Qin Kai said, looking around. Let's go down by the river. The group climbed into the car and drove the short distance to a quiet, uninhabited stretch of the riverbank. Xiao Yifeng followed like a ghost, crouching behind a dark flower bead just out of reach of the yellow streetlights. As a bodyguard, his duty was to ensure Qin Yunhan's safety, especially since the kidnapping mastermind was still at large. He hoped that if the culprits showed their faces tonight, he could save her and finally earn back her favor. He focused intently on the group by the water, his senses tuned to the environment. He failed to notice a figure approaching him from behind with lethal silence. Click! The sound of a dry branch snapping under a boot was nearly inaudible, but it reached Xiao Yifeng's ears. He spun around, staring into the pitch-black depths of the flower bead. He could see nothing, but the sound of footsteps was accelerating toward him. Panic flared. He tried to lunge out of the dark toward the light of the street lamps, but a sudden rush of air cut through the night. An internal skills master? Xiao Yifeng's surprise turned to disdain. He wasn't afraid of a direct clash of power. He focused his mind, identifying the direction of the strike by sound alone. He channeled every ounce of his cultivation into his palm, and threw a counterpunch into the dark. The impact sent a shockwave through his body. His blood churned, and a metallic taste rose in his throat. He felt the urge to vomit. Terror replaced his confidence. This person's internal strength was significantly higher than his own. Desperate, he poured his remaining energy into his legs, intending to leap away. But a jagged, tearing pain erupted in his dantian, severing the flow of his qi. Poison. With his master-level medical knowledge, he recognized the sensation instantly. The attacker's palm had been coated in a toxin. He reached up to strike his own pressure points, hoping to seal the poison's spread, but a silhouette blurred through the darkness. A heavy palm slammed into the side of his neck. The world began to tilt. How? It's completely dark. How can they see exactly where I am? That was his final thought before his consciousness shattered. He slumped forward, his face hitting the dirt of the flower bead. Ding. The host has successfully captured the protagonist Xiao Yifeng. Rewards 1000 villain points. Xiao Yifeng's protagonist Halo, -50. Host's villain Halo +50. Chapter 106. The mastermind behind the scenes. The prompt message from the system flickered into existence, and Wang Haoran, cloaked in the velvet dark of the riverbank, allowed a secret smile to touch his lips. Zhou Chenaya had delivered the necessary materials early that morning, and Wang Haoran had spent the intervening hours meticulously brewing a poison specifically tailored for Xiao Yifeng. Originally, he intended to use Qin Yunhan as bait to lure the protagonist into a vulnerable position. He hadn't expected Xiao Yifeng to provide the perfect opportunity himself by lurking in this pitch-black flower bead. Wang Haoran's enhanced vision cut through the gloom, providing a clarity that Xiao Yifeng lacked. In the pitch dark, the bodyguard was effectively blind. Against an opponent with superior combat strength, night vision, and a lethal toxin, Xiao Yifeng didn't stand a chance. However, the threat to Qin Yunhan remained unresolved. Wang Haoran pushed the unconscious bodyguard deeper into the foliage. There would be time to deal with Xiao Yifeng later. For now, the mastermind required his attention. Down by the river, the air grew cool. Qin Yunhan's breathing slowed as her panic subsided, replaced by curiosity. She glanced at the middle-aged woman standing beside her father, and turned to Qin Kai with a questioning look. "Dad, who is this?" "This is your mother's sister," Qin Kai explained, his voice strained. "You can call her Auntie Rong." Qin Yunhan offered a polite, tentative nod. "She really is beautiful," Feng Rong said, a faint, unsettling smile playing on her lips. "She looks exactly like your mother." "Is my mother, is she doing well?" Qin Yunhan's voice cracked, the word mother catching in her throat. "She's doing well, though she misses you terribly. That's why I'm here. I've come to take you to see her." "Really?" Qin Yunhan gasped. Her father had always maintained that her mother lived in a place far beyond their reach, a place they could never visit. To see her, her mother would have to be the one to return. The sudden prospect of a reunion felt like a dream. "Of course it's true," Feng Rong replied firmly. "Then when do we go?" Qin Yunhan's face lit up with joy. "We can start right now." Feng Rong's smile widened, twisting into something sharp and unnatural. While Qin Yunhan was swept up in hope, Qin Kai remained stone-faced. He watched Feng Rong with vigilant, narrowed eyes. "Feng Yun didn't send you," he stated flatly. "Who are you really?" "I already told you. Feng Yun and I are sisters." If Feng Yun truly had the authority to bring Yunhan to Fengzi Mountain, she would have come herself. She would never send a stranger to take her daughter away. "You're lying." Qin Kai's voice was cold. "It's no wonder your business has grown so large." "You're quite sharp," Feng Rong mocked. "But I am taking your daughter, and there is nothing you can do to stop me. I am a businessman, and I have always been cautious. Do you really think I would stand here and talk to you if I were unprepared?" Qin Kai showed no fear. Feng Rong's brow furrowed. "Yifeng, come out," Qin Kai called. Silence followed. The river breeze rustled the reeds, but no one emerged from the shadows. "Yifeng, come out." Qin Kai's voice rose, carrying a hint of desperation. The surrounding area remained deathly still. "Yifeng." Qin Kai shouted the name with everything he had, but the darkness offered no reply. The scene stretched into a painful, awkward silence. Qin Kai fumed inwardly. What is wrong with that boy? I gave him the signal. Did he actually go back to rest? President Qin, Feng Rong snickered, aside from your business, do you work part-time as a comedian? Yunhan, run. Realizing the trap had failed, Qin Kai lunged at Feng Rong, intending to tackle her, and buy his daughter a few precious seconds to escape. He didn't even complete his first step before Feng Rong's hand flashed out. Her fingers struck his pressure points with surgical precision, freezing him in place. Master, Dad. Li Bo and Qin Yunhan cried out in unison, but their voices were cut short. In two swift movements, Feng Rong struck them both, leaving them as paralyzed as Qin Kai. If I had known it would be this easy, I wouldn't have hired those useless thugs to do my dirty work, Feng Rong complained, dusting off her sleeves. You were the one behind the kidnapping attempts? Qin Kai's voice was a ragged whisper. He had spent weeks looking for business rivals, never imagining the threat came from his wife's own blood. Feng Yun has become quite the rising star in Fengzi Mountain, Feng Rong said, seemingly enjoying the chance to gloat now that her targets were secured. She's actually competing for the position of elder. My job is to ensure she doesn't get too arrogant. I was sent to invite her daughter to the mountain to keep her in check. You are despicable, Qin Kai spat. He could see the shape of the conflict now. This was a power struggle within the sect. Feng Rong couldn't defeat his wife in a fair fight, so she had come to snatch his daughter to use as leverage. Despicable? This is no different than your world of business. To achieve your goals, you use whatever means are necessary, Feng Rong sneered. My business is built on legitimate competition. I don't stoop to kidnapping children. Enough. I didn't come here to debate ethics with you. Feng Rong struck another of Qin Kai's pressure points, silencing him completely. Then, she turned her cold gaze toward Qin Yunhan. It's a long journey to Fengzi Mountain. I won't be able to get you there immediately, but I can certainly send Feng Yun a little gift in advance to surprise her. Feng Rong looked the girl up and down, her eyes lingering on her face. Now, what should I take? A finger? An ear? Or perhaps an eyeball? Don't you dare. My mother will kill you. Qin Yunhan's face turned a ghostly white. You crazy woman. Stop. Don't hurt her. Li Bo roared. Feng Rong silenced him with a sharp blow that knocked him unconscious. She then struck Qin Yunhan's throat, robbing the girl of her voice. I think the eyes are best, Feng Rong whispered, her voice like ice. They look just like hers. I've always hated those eyes. She drew a thin, wicked knife from her belt. In this deserted stretch of the riverbank, there was no one to hear them. She planned to gouge out one of the girl's eyes, record the act, and send the video back to the mountain for Feng Yun to appreciate before taking the girl away. But as she reached for her phone to set up the recording, a small pebble whistled through the air. The stone was infused with potent true qi. It struck with the force of a bullet, tearing through Feng Rong's right thigh. Blood sprayed across the grass as she collapsed to one knee. Who's there? Show yourself. Two more stones zipped out of the darkness. One shattered her left knee, the other struck her dantian with explosive force. The three small stones had effectively crippled her legs and destroyed her cultivation in seconds. A few green leaves fluttered from the shadows, striking Qin Kai and Qin Yunhan. The subtle impact untied their blocked acupuncture points, and they collapsed forward, free to move and speak once more. Ding. The host has abolished the mastermind behind the kidnapping of the heroine. Crisis relieved. Rewards, 300 villain points. Chapter 107. The Arrogant Wolf King. After the system prompt flickered and faded, Wang Haoran moved through the shadows. He hoisted the unconscious Xiao Yaifeng over his shoulder and vanished into the night. He had four distinct reasons for remaining hidden. First, Qin Yunhan's favorability had already soared to 90. They had already shared a bed, so there was no longer a need to play the heroic savior just to win her heart. Second, he had carefully constructed a lie, telling Qin Yunhan that Xiao Yaifeng had successfully sabotaged him. This deception had secured her ultimate devotion. If he revealed his true martial prowess now, her suspicion would be inevitable. Third, by staying in the wings, he ensured his own strength remained a secret, while leaving Qin Kai to wonder if Xiao Yaifeng's sudden disappearance was a result of some hidden conflict. Finally, and most importantly, he knew the rules of this world. Even if he eliminated Xiao Yaifeng, other protagonists would surely rise, perhaps even more formidable than the last. Keeping his trump cards face down was essential. He had learned this from the very novels these men starred in. Many protagonists hid their power to play the pig to eat the tiger, and Wang Haoran intended to use their own tactics against them. Yunhan, are you all right? Qin Kai asked, his voice tight with lingering adrenaline. I'm fine. Qin Yunhan shook her head, though her breath was still shaky. Qin Kai moved to Li Bo's side. A quick check confirmed the driver was merely unconscious, with no lasting injuries. Relief washed over him. The danger had passed, but a gnawing puzzle remained. Who was the secret savior? He considered Xiao Yaifeng, but dismissed the idea immediately. If the boy had been the one to strike, he would have stepped into the light to claim the credit. Beyond the bodyguard, Qin Kai knew no other martial masters. Could it be someone Feng Yun sent from the mountain to watch over us? It was the only logical conclusion. Why else would a stranger intervene? Qin Kai turned a venomous gaze toward Feng Rong. She lay broken on the grass, her cultivation shattered. He wanted nothing more than to cut her into pieces and cast her into the river to feed the fish. But he was a man of the law, a respectable businessman. Suppressing the dark urge, he pulled out his phone and called the police. Ling Duanya was midway through a quiet night shift when the call came in. She and a colleague scrambled into a patrol car and sped toward the riverbank. The roads were nearly empty. Ling Duanya gripped the steering wheel, her focus sharp. She had held her license for 5 years and prided herself on her precision at high speeds. She wove through the light traffic, overtaking several cars with effortless grace. Sister Ling, you're incredible, her colleague praised, clutching the grab handle. This car is rock solid. You could honestly compete professionally. Maybe one day I'll sign up for a title just to bring home the trophy, Ling Duanya replied, a confident smile lighting up her face. The words had barely left her lips when a roar echoed through the cabin. A gray Mercedes-Benz GTR tore past them like a streak of lightning. It was moving at a terrifying pace, easily clocking 250 yards. In a heartbeat, it was a disappearing speck in the distance. The atmosphere in the patrol car turned heavy. Her colleague's expression went flat. Ling Duanya's pride stung. Her foot hit the accelerator, her engine straining to close the gap, but the GTR was a phantom. She couldn't even see its taillights. What an absolute bastard, she yelled, slapping the steering wheel in frustration. A few miles down the road, however, she spotted the gray car pulled over on the shoulder. The driver's door stood open. A woman sat slumped in the passenger seat, clearly intoxicated. Nearby, a man stood by the roadside, casually relieving himself into the bushes. This was Yan Guishan. The woman in the car was the prey he had scouted at the bar. Ling Duanya jerked the patrol car to a stop and stepped out with her colleagues. Yan Guishan turned back toward his seat, but Ling Duanya blocked his path. I suspect you are driving dangerously, she stated. As she stepped closer, the sharp, fermented stench of alcohol hit her. Show me your license and registration. I also suspect you are operating a vehicle under the influence. Identification, now. Yan Guishan let his gaze wander up and down Ling Duanya's figure. He had known countless women, but he had never encountered a beauty with such a fierce, heroic edge. Looking at your uniform, you aren't traffic control, are you? He flashed a reckless, uninhibited grin. We all serve the same department. My function is whatever the situation demands. Now, the documents. Move. Ling Duanya's voice was like ice. That GTR had been flying, and with a drunk at the wheel, it was a miracle no one had died. She had no intention of letting him walk. Fine, fine. Let me get them for you. Yan Guishan slid back into the driver's seat, reaching toward the glove box as if searching for his papers. Suddenly, he slammed the car into gear and floored the accelerator. The engine screamed as the GTR lurched forward. Leaning his head out the window, he threw a wink back at the stunned officer. Goodbye, beautiful. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Yan Guishan had no license, no ID, and the GTR belonged to the woman beside him. He wasn't about to stick around. Besides, he had a business appointment with his companion that couldn't wait. The car vanished into the dark, leaving Ling Duanya fuming on the curb. She wanted to give chase, but the urgent call from Qin Kai took precedence. She couldn't outrun a GTR in a standard patrol car anyway. She radioed the description to traffic control and continued to the river. The GTR didn't stop until it reached the Dehao Hotel. Though the woman was half conscious from the wine, she had enough clarity to pull a black gold card from her purse. She checked them into a presidential suite without a word. Soon, they were inside the lavish room. Woman, this will be a night you will never forget, Yan Guishan said, his lips curling into a charming, rebellious smirk. You didn't even ask my name, she mocked, her eyes glazed but searching. Names don't matter. I won't be taking responsibility. The woman let out a cold, cynical laugh. She didn't want responsibility. She was here for one reason, revenge. Her husband, Shen Kong, was a man who lived for his hotel empire, leaving her alone, while he chased his own vices. She wanted to place a green hat firmly on his head. If men could play, why should women stay home? My husband's name is Shen Kong, she said, watching for a reaction. He runs a chain of hotels. This Dehao Hotel. It's his property. Yan Guishan paused, a look of genuine surprise crossing his face. You're a brave one. Are you afraid? She challenged. Afraid. Yan Guishan chuckled, a dark, arrogant sound. To you, these wealthy men with their power and gold might be terrifying. To me, they are nothing more than ants. Chapter 108. Xiao Yifeng's mentality explodes. Under the cover of night, Wang Haoran poured his inner strength into his legs, covering ground with predatory speed. Xiao Yifeng hung limp over his shoulder like a sack of grain. After 10 minutes of sprinting, the city lights faded, replaced by the jagged silhouette of an abandoned factory. Wang Haoran tossed the body onto the cold concrete and knelt, tapping a pressure point to bring his prisoner back to consciousness. Xiao Yifeng's eyes fluttered open. He squinted against the dim moonlight filtering through the cracked skylights, his breath hitching as a familiar face came into focus. Is it you? Panic drained the color from his cheeks. Are you surprised? Are you shocked? Wang Haoran's voice was a playful, jagged edge in the silence. I'll kill you, Xiao Yifeng roared, lunging forward with a desperate snarl. But his strength failed him. He collapsed face first into the dirt, his teeth clattering against the floor. He took a mouthful of ash, coughing and sputtering as he rolled onto his side. He glared up at his captor, his voice trembling. What have you done to me? Nothing much, just a little poison. Wang Haoran checked his watch, his tone conversational. The toxin is working its way through you now, slowly dissolving your inner strength and shredding your meridians. You're despicable, shameless. Xiao Yifeng spat the words through clenched teeth. Wang Haoran let out a sharp, mocking laugh. Despicable? Shameless? Have you already forgotten your own little stunt? Think back, Xiao Yifeng. To Qin Yunhan's bedroom. Xiao Yifeng froze, his eyes wide. You were awake? How else do you think you managed to stab me with that needle? It hurt, by the way. Quite a bit. But in the end, it was worth it. Wang Haoran pulled out his phone and navigated to a recording. Here, listen to this. He pressed play. A series of soft, breathless sounds filled the empty factory. They were the unmistakable, wordless expressions of intimacy, followed by a voice that could only belong to Qin Yunhan. It was a monologue of pure, unadulterated devotion. The kind of confession a girl only makes when she believes she is alone with the man she loves. Xiao Yifeng let out a guttural, broken scream. It was the sound of a man struck by lightning. He thrashed on the ground, his mind fracturing as the audio continued to loop. Ding. The host has caused the protagonist Xiao Yifeng's mentality to destabilize. Rewards 500 villain points. Xiao Yifeng's protagonist Halo, -20. Host's villain Halo +20. Ding. The host has caused the protagonist Xiao Yifeng's mentality to destabilize. Rewards 500 villain points. Xiao Yifeng's protagonist Halo, -20. Host's villain Halo +20. Ding. The host has caused the protagonist Xiao Yifeng's mentality to destabilize. Rewards 500 villain points. Xiao Yifeng's protagonist Halo, -20. Host's villain Halo +20. Ding. The host has caused the protagonist Xiao Yifeng's mentality to destabilize. Rewards 1000 villain points. Xiao Yifeng's protagonist Halo, -50. Host's villain Halo +50. Ding. Xiao Yifeng's mentality has exploded. The protagonist Halo is shattered. He has lost his identity as a protagonist. Wang Haoran scanned the flood of system notifications. He was pleased, yet a bit disappointed. He had used the recording to squeeze every possible point out of the man's suffering, but Xiao Yifeng's mental fortitude was weaker than expected. Based on his estimates, a fully intact protagonist Halo should have yielded over 300 points. Now, because the man had broken so completely, the remaining potential had vanished into thin air. What a waste, Wang Haoran thought. Next time, I'll have to be more surgical. Squeeze the rewards out slowly before delivering the final blow. Wang Haoran, kill me. If you have the guts, just kill me. Xiao Yifeng screamed, his voice raw. With his cultivation gone, and his beloved in the arms of his enemy, he had nothing left to live for. Killing you is too easy. I think it's much more interesting to let you live as a walking corpse. Wang Haoran was well aware of the tropes surrounding these master archetypes. A young genius like Xiao Yifeng almost certainly had a powerful, elderly teacher hiding in the mountains. With only 18 years of internal power, Wang Haoran knew he couldn't stand against a true old monster yet. If that master ever came looking for his pupil, a dead body would mean a blood feud. A living, breathing Xiao Yifeng was a life-saving bargaining chip. Wang Haoran moved with cold efficiency. He surged his true qi into Xiao Yifeng's skull, short-circuiting his brain, and reducing his mind to the same vacant state as the eagle. Then, he stripped the silver needles from the man's pockets. He searched the nearby chemical waste, finding plant extracts and industrial sludge to use as a makeshift ink. He used the needles to tattoo jagged, birthmark-like patterns across Xiao Yifeng's face, effectively masking his features. Even those closest to him would fail to recognize the beggar he was about to become. Under the deep veil of night, Wang Haoran carried the vegetable-like man to a bridge overpass, dumping him among a cluster of sleeping homeless men. By tomorrow morning, Xiao Yifeng would be just another nameless face on the streets. Finished. Wang Haoran slipped back into the school and made his way to Qin Yunhan's bedroom. His monitoring virus told him the drama with Qin Kai had concluded. Feng Rong was in the custody of Ling Duanya, and the kidnapping threat was officially over. When Qin Yunhan returned to the room, she was still trembling. She described the night's terrors vividly, acting out the moments of peril. Wang Haoran played his part to perfection, offering gasps of shock and comforting embraces at all the right moments. By the time the adrenaline faded, it was 1 a.m. It's getting late, Wang Haoran whispered, his eyes locking onto hers. Qin Yunhan understood the look immediately. A soft blush crept up her neck. After another long, intense encounter, Wang Haoran felt the surge of more villain points and halo points. However, a dull ache settled in his lower back. Even with his youthful vitality, the constant exertion was starting to take its toll. He wasn't made of iron. With a weary sigh, he opened his status panel to review his spoils. Host Wang Haoran. Combat Strength 1099. Charm 268. Villain Halo 1151. Villain Points 5700. Skills Master Level Painting and Calligraphy, Master Level Wing Chun, Song God Level Singing, Actor Level Acting, Perspective Vision, Advanced Poisoning, Top Tier Hacking, 18 years of internal power. With 5,700 points, the system mall was finally open to him. He scrolled through hundreds of items, his eyes finally landing on one specific entry, the Dragon and Tiger Grand Supplement Pill. Cost 5,000 villain points. He scanned the description. Taking the pill would grant an additional 2 years of internal power, but that was secondary. The primary benefit was a massive, permanent fortification of the internal organs and bone structure. The kidneys were explicitly listed as one of the organs receiving this upgrade. Wang Haoran grinned. Stronger kidneys meant better endurance. Without hesitation, he spent the points and felt the heavy, golden pill materialize in his hand. Chapter 109. The Marriage Contract of President Iceberg. The following day dawned bright and clear. Sunlight spilled over the Tang family manor, illuminating a small, ornate pavilion nestled within the gardens. Elder Tang and Yan Guishan sat across from one another at a stone table. With practiced, steady hands, the elder brewed a pot of fine tea and poured a steaming cup for his guest. Top-tier snow-topped silver shuttle, Elder Tang said, offering a warm smile. Have a taste. Yan Guishan lifted the delicate cup and took several slow sips. He savored the complex notes of the brew, a look of genuine contentment crossing his features. This kind of quality is only found in China. Life abroad is quite difficult, isn't it? The elder's voice carried a hidden weight. He knew a fair amount about the younger man's reputation overseas. He understood that while Yan Guishan was a legend, that fame had been bought with blood and sacrifice. As a military veteran himself, the elder felt a deep, silent admiration for the man's resilience. It's manageable, Yan Guishan replied casually, offering nothing more. And how is your father? How is his health? The elder asked, his thoughts drifting to his old friend. Yan Guishan sighed, his gaze dropping to the tea leaves. Confined to a hospital bed. I'm afraid he doesn't have much time left. What are your plans now that you've returned? I've spent enough time in the line of fire. I want to live a more comfortable life. The elder leaned forward slightly. So, you don't object to the marriage contract? I want to fulfill my father's final wish before he passes, Yan Guishan said, though his expression betrayed a hint of reluctance. In truth, he preferred a life of freedom. He wanted to enjoy the company of many women rather than being tied down by a single commitment. He was a wanderer at heart, a prodigal son who didn't believe any one woman was truly qualified to be his wife. But for the sake of his dying father, he was willing to play the part. Elder Tang was a sharp observer. He recognized the flicker of hesitation in the younger man's eyes. Without a word, he pulled out his phone, opened a photo album, and slid the device across the stone table. Yan Guishan took the phone, curious. A stunning woman with a cool, sophisticated temperament stared back at him from the screen. His heart skipped a beat. Subconsciously, his thumb began to swipe, scrolling through dozens of photos. There were over 100 pictures in the album, capturing the woman in various settings, but every single one showcased an ethereal beauty. He didn't stop after the first pass. He scrolled through the entire collection 10 times over. Elder Tang remained silent, a knowing smirk playing on his lips. His granddaughter was a rare gem. He knew no man, not even the Wolf King, could remain indifferent to her. This is. Yan Guishan finally looked up, his voice tinged with uncharacteristic excitement. He had traveled the world and seen every variety of beauty imaginable, but this woman stirred something deep within him. My granddaughter, Tang Bingyun, the elder replied, his laughter hearty. May I ask, how many granddaughters do you have? Yan Guishan remembered his father mentioning a marriage to a granddaughter, not specifying which one. Only her. Yan Guishan felt a wave of relief wash over him, followed by a surge of genuine interest. My son and daughter-in-law passed away in an accident years ago. The elder's voice softened, his face showing the lines of his age and grief. They left behind 2 sons and a daughter. Bing Yun's brothers have neither the talent nor the character to manage the family business. I refuse to let the empire I built fall into the hands of dandies who would ruin it. I intend to hand everything over to Bing Yun. She has an incredible mind for business. The old man's expression turned solemn. However, placing such a burden on her shoulders makes me uneasy. I worry her brothers will strike out of spite, and I worry about the vultures in our industry waiting for the Tang family to slip up. Yan Guishan nodded slowly. He understood the subtext. Don't worry, Elder Tang. As long as I am here, no one will lay a hand on her. No one will bully her. Hearing you say that brings me great peace. The elder smiled. The marriage contract served two purposes, fulfilling a promise to an old friend, and securing a powerful guardian for his granddaughter. With the word of the Blood Prison Wolf King, he could finally rest easy. Does Bingyun know about the arrangement? Yan Guishan asked, realizing a potential hurdle. She doesn't know yet. She doesn't? Yan Guishan's brow furrowed. Modern women rarely took well to arranged marriages. If she refused, the situation could become complicated. Do not concern yourself with that. Even if she is dissatisfied at first, I have my ways of ensuring her cooperation. The elder's wrinkles creased into the smile of an old fox. The rhythmic click-clack of high heels echoed against the stone path. Yan Guishan's heightened senses picked up the sound instantly. He turned toward the entrance of the garden and saw a tall, slender woman approaching. She had long, elegant legs and a face that defined icy perfection. She looked even more striking in person than she did in the photos, her indifferent aura adding a layer of challenge that Yan Guishan found intoxicating. Tang Bingyun stepped into the pavilion. She noticed the stranger immediately. The way he looked at her, intense and predatory, sparked an immediate flash of annoyance. She ignored him entirely and addressed her grandfather. Grandpa, why did you call me here? I have a full schedule. I wanted to introduce you to someone. The elder gestured toward his guest. Miss Tang, it's a pleasure. I am Yan Guishan. The man stood and extended a hand. Tang Bingyun gave him a cursory, freezing glance and made no move to take it. Yan Guishan's hand remained suspended in the air for a moment. He didn't seem offended. He simply shrugged and lowered his hand with a nonchalant air. Grandpa, the company is at a critical point. I don't have time to entertain idlers, she said. He isn't an idler, Elder Tang countered. He is your future husband. Tang Bingyun froze. What? It is an agreement made years ago between myself and a dear friend, the elder explained. Grandpa, this is the modern age. You can't honestly expect me to honor an ancient arrangement like that. I will choose my own husband. You don't need to worry about my personal life. I have made my decision, the elder said, his voice dropping an octave, turning stern. You will marry him. This is not a discussion. Tang Bingyun stared at him, stunned. In all her years, her grandfather had never used such a harsh tone with her. He had always been her greatest supporter, never losing his temper like this. Grandpa, I can follow your lead on everything else, but not this, she said decisively. Say that again. Elder Tang gripped his cane, forcing himself to stand. His face flushed a deep, alarming red. I will not marry him. If you like the idea so much, you marry him. Tang Bingyun turned on her heel, ready to end the charade. You stubborn. The elder's voice broke. He choked, a spray of blood erupting from his lips before he collapsed heavily onto the ground. Grandpa, Grandpa. Tang Bingyun spun around, her face pale with horror as she rushed to his side. Chapter 110. The King of Soldiers. The threat of Xiao Yifeng had vanished into the night. As for the other protagonist, Fang Heng, he was hardly a concern. In Wang Haoran's eyes, Fang Heng existed solely to provide a steady stream of capital. He was a walking ATM, a protagonist designed to hand over his wealth until Wang Haoran's coffers overflowed. By noon, a sense of leisure settled over Wang Haoran. His mind drifted, considering how to extend his reach towards Sumwian and Mujiaozhao. Qin Yanhan had been a delicious dish, perfectly sampled and savored, but even the finest meal loses its edge once the hunger is satisfied. He wanted a change of pace. Sumwian, with her favorability sitting at 70, was the logical next step. The difficulty was low, but the opportunity for a move had yet to present itself. He was still weighing his options when his phone vibrated. The caller ID displayed Tang Bingyun's name. He answered immediately, keeping his tone light and hearty. Aunt Tang, to what do I owe the surprise? Haoran. Her voice cracked. A hoarse, choked sound escaped her throat. Wang Haoran stiffened. Had the title Aunt Tang really stung her that deeply? Aunt Tang, what's wrong? You sound devastated. My grandfather is forcing me to marry a stranger, she sobbed, her voice thick with grievance. The man is 35 years old. I'm only 23. He's a lifetime older than me. I don't understand why Grandpa is doing this. I can't marry a man like that. Wang Haoran's pulse quickened. A new player had entered the board. Do you know anything about him? His background? Not much. He was a soldier, apparently. He just returned from overseas. A soldier from abroad. The pieces clicked into place. A soldier king. Tang Bingyun was the textbook definition of the iceberg CEO heroine. In the world of urban power fantasies, women like her were always paired with elite mercenaries or retired special forces legends. The plot always began the same way, a forced marriage to initiate the drama. This is the 21st century, Wang Haoran said, his voice firm with mock indignation. That kind of arrangement is prehistoric. You should refuse him, Aunt Tang. I did. We fought and I told him I wouldn't do it. But Grandpa got so angry he began vomiting blood. The doctor came to examine him and found. She trailed off into a fresh wave of tears. Is it terminal? Lung cancer, she managed to whisper. The doctor said it's advanced. Stage 4. Wang Haoran suppressed a scoff. This was the most cliché, heavy-handed plot device he had ever encountered. Some hack author was clearly pulling the strings, using a terminal illness to coerce the heroine and drive the narrative forward. Advanced lung cancer is serious. I'll speak with my mother. We'll come to the manor together to visit him. Visiting the old man was a secondary goal. Wang Haoran wanted to look this soldier king in the eye and gauge the depth of his power. He hung up and immediately dialed Zhen Li. Her company, National Beauty, maintained a close partnership with the Tang family. A visit to the ailing patriarch was not only appropriate but expected. Zhen Li didn't hesitate. She dropped her meetings and prepared to leave. Wang Haoran summoned his driver, and within the hour, he arrived at the gates of the Tang family manor. Tang Bingyun was already waiting. Her cold, porcelain beauty was marred by exhaustion. Her eyes were rimmed with red, a testament to hours of weeping. Aunt Zhen, Tang Bingyun murmured. Zhen Li flinched at the title, her brow furrowing in silent displeasure. She hated being reminded of her age. However, seeing the younger woman's haggard state, she softened her expression. Bingyun, modern medicine is full of miracles. Don't lose hope. You need to stay strong. Thank you, Aunt Zhen. Please, follow me. Aware of Zhen Li's presence, Tang Bingyun kept her distance from Wang Haoran, but her eyes lingered on him with a burning intensity. She led them through a maze of garden paths to a quiet, elegant wing of the house. The air inside the room was heavy with the scent of high-grade sandalwood. Elder Tang lay motionless in a large, antique bed, his face a pale mask of sickness. Beside the bed sat a man. He held himself with rigid, military precision, his gaze sharp and arrogant. He looked like a man who believed the world was beneath his notice. That's him, Wang Haoran thought. The protagonist's posture is a dead giveaway. He spent 100 villain points to trigger an investigation. Protagonist Yan Guishan. Combat Strength 539. Charm 148. Protagonist Halo 421. Skills Master Level Individual Combat, Master Level Assassination, Master Level Firearms, Master Level Sniping, Grand Master Level Mixed Martial Arts, Grand Master Level Reconnaissance. A super soldier. In a head-on fight, Wang Haoran could crush him into the dirt without breaking a sweat. However, the sniping skill was a variable. If Yan Guishan found a rooftop and a high-caliber rifle, he could potentially cause real damage. But even that threat was mitigated. Yan Guishan's protagonist Halo was a mere 421. Wang Haoran's villain Halo was more than double that. In this world, a higher Halo meant superior luck. If Yan Guishan pulled a trigger, the odds of the bullet actually finding its mark were negligible. The Soldier King wasn't a threat, he was a fat sheep waiting to be shorn. Wang Haoran's long-term concerns lay elsewhere. The master behind Xiao Yifeng was still a shadow on the horizon, and the hidden martial arts sects mentioned by Qin Kai suggested a much higher power ceiling. With only 20 years of internal strength, Wang Haoran knew he wasn't invincible against the true elders of this world. The fastest way to the top was through the accumulation of villain points. If he could harvest enough protagonists to buy a century or two of inner power, he wouldn't need to play games. He could simply slaughter anyone who stood in his path. But for now, he had to play the part of the concerned guest. Chapter 111. The bad old man is very bad. Wang Haoran lingered on a disturbing realization. While browsing the system mall, a massive amount of internal energy could be exchanged for a tiny, concentrated drop of spiritual energy. Spiritual energy was the hallmark of true cultivators. Pessimism gnawed at him. If spiritual energy existed in the mall, it meant protagonists who practiced immortal cultivation likely existed in this world too. He knew the tropes well. These characters usually began their journeys by dominating modern cities, before ascending to the heavens, or returning as reincarnated immortal emperors or devil kings. These cultivators were a different breed of threat. They viewed human life as mere dust and slaughtered villains like they were chopping wood. Law and evidence meant nothing to them. If he crossed a true immortal, even 20 years of internal power would be useless. He would be erased in seconds. Preparation was his only defense. To avoid being harvested like a common vegetable, he had to maximize his gains now. He needed to squeeze every last villain point from these weaker protagonists, stockpiling enough energy to facilitate his own transition from martial arts to immortality. Haoran, it's your turn. Zhen Li's voice broke his trance. She had finished offering her condolences to Elder Tang and gestured for her son to step forward. Wang Haoran pushed his grand designs to the back of his mind and moved toward the bed. Grandpa Tang, I'm. Wang Haoran gently took the old man's hand. He intended to introduce himself and offer a few scripted comforts, but he stopped mid-sentence. His fingers rested on the elder's wrist, and a strange expression flickered across his face. The old man's skin was pale. He looked like a man standing on the precipice of death. Yet, beneath the surface, his pulse beat with a steady, rhythmic vitality. He was perfectly healthy. The bad old man was faking it. He was weaponizing his own health to emotionally blackmail Tang Bingyun into marriage. He's even willing to deceive his own granddaughter, Wang Haoran thought, his face a mask of calm. He didn't expose the ruse. Doing so would only strain his relationship with the Tang family patriarch. It was enough to know the truth. The success of the marriage contract rested entirely on Tang Bingyun's resolve. As long as she held her ground, the Soldier King would never have her. Aunt Tang, Wang Haoran said, turning toward the cold beauty standing by the bed. I asked for your help in choosing that jade necklace last time. Have you made a selection? Tang Bingyun blinked, confused for a heartbeat, before her sharp mind caught the lifeline. She nodded solemnly. I have. It's in my room. Follow me, and we can discuss the final choice. They slipped away from the watchful eyes of the family and the lingering Soldier King. As soon as the door to her private suite clicked shut, Tang Bingyun turned to him. We're alone now. What did you want to say? Your grandfather is feigning his illness, Wang Haoran said, skipping the pleasantries. Faking it? How could you possibly know that? Tell me about his health lately. How has his appetite been? His blood pressure is a bit high, and he deals with some rheumatism, she recalled instantly. But his appetite is fine. He eats well. People with advanced cancer don't have fine appetites. Wang Haoran stepped closer, guiding her through the logic. And consider the timing. He didn't get sick last week or last month. He collapsed exactly when you refused the marriage contract. Doesn't that strike you as a bit too convenient? Suspicion began to cloud Tang Bingyun's eyes. And who performed the examination? He pushed. His personal physician. The man has served Grandpa for 15 years. Precisely. They are old friends. It's a simple matter for your grandfather to order a lie. Tang Bingyun nodded, the pieces fitting together. But one doubt remained. But I saw him vomit blood. It was right in front of me. Actors on TV vomit blood every night, Aunt Tang. It's a classic prop. So he guessed I would fight him, and he set the stage in advance. The grief that had weighed her down vanished, replaced by a sharp, cold anger. He lied to me. I'm going back in there to expose him right now. And if you do, Wang Haoran cautioned, he'll simply pivot. He'll threaten to jump off a building or stop eating. You'd be treating the symptom, not the root cause. Exposing the diorama won't change his determination to see you married to that man. Then what am I supposed to do? She looked at him, her usual composure fractured, seeking guidance. Don't worry. I'll find a way to handle this for you. Tang Bingyun froze, staring at him blankly. Ding. Tang Bingyun's favorability has increased by 5. Current total 60. Love from the heart. Ding. The host has provoked the heroine's heart. Reward 100 villain points. Why are you being so kind to me? Her icy gaze softened into something tender and vulnerable. Aunt Tang, you are like a fairy. That man isn't worthy of even looking at you. I can't stand to see you thrown away like this, so of course I'll help. It was a beautiful lie, crafted to hide his true motives, and it worked. Tang Bingyun looked slightly disappointed at the platonic reasoning, but she hid it well. Has he asked you out yet? He wants to go to dinner. I told him I wasn't in the mood because of Grandpa, but the truth is I just don't like him. I had no intention of agreeing. On the contrary, Wang Haoran said, a mysterious smile playing on his lips. You should agree. What? I'll go with you. He gave her a sharp wink. Vague understanding dawned on her. You mean? Yes. We're going to make him retreat. Will he really believe it? I have my ways, but I'll need you to cooperate with me. How? Just follow my lead, Wang Haoran said. Watch my eyes and move when I move. All right. Trusting him completely, she didn't ask another question. She simply nodded. A silent pact formed between them. Chapter 112. The mentality of the protagonist. Night falls over the city. At the Grand Hotel restaurant, a man and a woman sit opposite each other. Yan Guishan chose the location. Having only recently arrived in Qingling City, he has little knowledge of the local dining scene. However, after his visit to the hotel the previous night, the upscale, 5-star environment impressed him enough to set the date here. This is a 5-star establishment. The prices are high. Will you even be able to cover the bill? Tang Bingyan's voice is glacial, laced with a sharp edge of sarcasm. Only in the company of Wang Haoran does her expression soften. To everyone else, she maintains the indifferent, frozen mask of an iceberg. Miss Tang, you can put your mind at ease. I've spent a long time abroad and managed to accumulate a bit of wealth. I won't claim to be a billionaire in US dollars, but I have a few billion in capital. Yan Guishan flashes a charming, confident smile. Habit takes over as he reaches for a cigarette, but he freezes. He remembers that the woman before him isn't a mere target from a bar, but his future wife. Wanting to respect her space, he tucks the pack away. And how exactly does one make billions abroad? Tang Bingyun asks. Starting a business. General trade. Yan Guishan keeps his answer vague. Technically, he is telling the truth. He founded a mercenary group, recruited elite members, and executed high-risk contracts. The generous commissions from those missions built his fortune. Tang Bingyun has no genuine interest in his life. Since he offers no details, she doesn't bother to press him. Let's order, Yan Guishan suggests. Not yet. Someone else is coming. Yan Guishan's brow furrows. I thought it was just the two of us. I agreed to have dinner with you, but I never said I would be alone. If that's a problem, we can cancel right now. Tang Bingyun reaches for her bag, poised to stand. No, it's fine. More people make for a livelier evening. Though annoyed by the intrusion, Yan Guishan concedes. Moments later, Wang Haoran arrives. He weaves through the tables with a relaxed gait and stops at their side. Bingyun. He speaks her name gently. The sound sends a strange thrill through her. She is simply relieved he has dropped the annoying Aunt Tang title. Haoran, sit here next to me. The iceberg mask melts into a smile like spring snow. She reaches out, pulling him down into the seat beside her. Wang Haoran had hinted at a plan earlier, and she understands her role. They are to pretend to be a couple. She leans into him, projecting an air of intimacy. What is the nature of your relationship? Yan Guishan asks, his eyes narrowing into slits. Can't you tell? Tang Bingyun squeezes Wang Haoran's hand. I heard him call you Aunt Tang at noon today. It's just a title we use. I'm only a few years older than him, after all. We've been together for nearly 2 years, but we've kept it private due to social stigma. Not even my grandfather knows. Tang Bingyun weaves the lie with practiced ease. He looks like he's barely out of high school. Do you really expect me to believe that? Even if you wanted a shield, you could have found someone more believable. Do you think so little of me? Yan Guishan sneers. You don't believe her? Wang Haoran interjects. You're just a brat. You should be back in school. Yan Guishan's sentence dies in his throat. Wang Haoran leans in and presses a sudden, firm kiss against Tang Bingyun's porcelain cheek. Yan Guishan stares, his mouth hanging open in disbelief. Tang Bingyun freezes. Thankfully, Wang Haoran warned her to follow his lead. She forces a shy, flustered expression and glances at Wang Haoran. There are people watching. Don't be like this. He doesn't believe we're together. I'm just proving it to him. Wang Haoran turns back to the soldier. Believe it now? Yan Guishan's jaw tightens. Fury flashes in his eyes, though he fights to maintain his composure. Wang Haoran is impressed. The Soldier King's psychological resilience is formidable. Still not convinced? Then keep your eyes open and look closely. Wang Haoran pulls Tang Bingyun toward him and kisses her deeply. Shock ripples through Tang Bingyun. Her first instinct is to push him away, but that would ruin the charade. She resigns herself to the act, but as the seconds tick by, her resistance fades. She has harbored feelings for him for some time, and now, she finds herself losing track of her surroundings, drifting into the sensation. Crack! A porcelain teacup shatters in Yan Guishan's calloused hand, the shards biting into his palm. Ding! The host has destabilized the protagonist Yan Guishan's mentality. Rewards 400 villain points. Yan Guishan's protagonist Halo, -20. Host's villain Halo +20. Enough. Yan Guishan growls. Wang Haoran ignores him. Kreaok. The heavy wooden table groans under the weight of Yan Guishan's palm. Ding. The host has destabilized the protagonist Yan Guishan's mentality. Rewards 400 villain points. Yan Guishan's protagonist Halo, -20. Host's villain Halo +20. The wood begins to splinter. Ding. The host has destabilized the protagonist Yan Guishan's mentality. Rewards 400 villain points. Yan Guishan's Protagonist Halo, -20. Hosts Villain Halo +20. Knowing that overplucking the wool might lead to a total mental collapse like Xiao Yifeng's, Wang Haoran reluctantly pulls away. He needs to harvest this sheep slowly. Long-term gains are the priority. Tang Bingyun gasps for air, her heart hammering against her ribs. Her cheeks are flushed a deep crimson. She shoots a look of mock resentment at Wang Haoran. At 23, she is a complete novice, yet this boy, 5 years her junior, acts with the experience of a seasoned veteran. Yan Guishan looks at her with a mix of disappointment and disdain. I know you hate this marriage, but you don't need to degrade yourself like this. Finding a brat to put on a show is beneath you. Tang Bingyun is startled that he saw through the performance, but she holds her ground. I've been with him a long time. Believe what you want. I'm no fool. You were cooperative, but you were clumsy. Your movements gave you away. It was obviously your first time. Wang Haoran keeps his face neutral, but his mind races. This soldier king is more observant than he looks. Perhaps a little rehearsal with Tang Bingyun would have been wise. Chapter 114 The Lost Soldier King. Wang Haoran heard a voice from next door. You're crazy, why did you drag me here? Mrs. Shen lowered her voice and said angrily. Seeing that you are in a bad mood, I want to comfort you. Yan Guishan said in a high-sounding manner. He was actually a little embarrassed because of Tang Bingyun and Wang Haoran's acting, so he just wanted to find a place to vent. No need. Mrs. Shen's voice was cold. Woman, you're lying, you need comfort. Yan Guishan showed a charming smile. Hearing this, Mrs. Shen was silent for a while, then her mind became hot, and she went out of her way and said, then use your skills. He doesn't take me seriously, why should I keep my body like a jade for him? Anyway, the hat has been put on for him, and it doesn't matter how many times. Hearing Mrs. Shen's approval, Yan Guishan was moved, but he soon realized that something was wrong. Mrs. Shen also found that something was wrong. I don't know what's going on either. I guess I didn't rest last night. Yan Guishan explained with a dusty face. After a while, what a waste of my mother's expression. Madame Shen was extremely disappointed. She secretly opened the door, and seeing no one in sight, she left a sentence, and left angrily. Yan Guishan's face was extremely pale, and his head was full of question marks. Why can't you do it yourself? Ding. The host uses poison to destroy the man ability of the protagonist Yan Guishan. Get 800 villain points. Yan Guishan Protagonist Halo -40. Host Villain Halo +40. After receiving the system prompt message, Wang Haoran secretly laughed. He learned this trick from Xiao Yifeng. It's just that Xiao Yifeng used silver needles, and he used poison. This poison is so hidden that it cannot be detected even with modern top medical instruments. It can be said to be unknowing. Wang Haoran went back to the dining table. About half an hour later, Yan Guishan came back in a daze. Obviously, this blow was too big for him. Even the Wolf King, as determined as the blood prison, could not resist. At this moment, Wang Haoran and Tang Bingyun had finished their meal. Moreover, Wang Haoran even took the time to go to the hotel to find a computer and inquired some information about the last time Mrs. Shen and Yan Guishan were fooling around. Mr. Yan, why did you come back after so long? Wang Haoran asked deliberately. I just went to the bathroom and met an acquaintance. We chatted for a while. Yan Guishan recovered and responded. There's still a little food left here. You can eat it yourself, we'll go first. Wang Haoran finished. Okay. Yan Guishan replied dully. Now he just wants to figure out what is the reason for his abnormal body, and he has no time to take care of other things. Wang Haoran and Tang Bingyun walked out of the hotel. Why does Yan Guishan look so lost? Does it have something to do with you? Tang Bingyun asked. That's right. Wang Haoran nodded. This is your plan B, what have you done? Tang Bingyun was curious. Aunt Tang, don't ask about this, I'm doing it for your own good anyway. Don't you believe me? Wang Haoran didn't want to talk about it with her. Of course not, I believe you, but can you stop calling me Auntie Tang? I'm really afraid that you will call me too much and I will be called old. Tang Bingyun said with a bitter face. No, if I don't call you Aunt Tang, wouldn't my generation be messed up? This is absolutely not possible. Wang Haoran still remembered Tang Bingyun's hatred of taking advantage of his own generation, and he is still not willing to change his words. Do you know how to talk about seniority now? Then you treated me like that just now. Tang Bingyun was in a hurry, and wanted to use the matter of acting as a couple just now to fight back. But after the words came to his lips, he suddenly said something. No export. Yan Guishan shouldn't take the initiative to bother you, now it's only your grandfather's side. Wang Haoran stopped teasing Tang Bingyun and suddenly returned to the topic. Then what should I do next? Tang Bingyun also put away the small emotions in his heart and asked seriously. I'll send you a video. Wang Haoran started the operation on his mobile phone and sent a video to Tang Bingyun using WeChat. He found that Yan Guishan and Mrs. Shen had an affair. After eating with Tang Bingyun, he left alone for a while and used the hotel's computer to check the records of Yan Guishan and Mrs. Shen's room opening. Of course, these records are normally unavailable. However, as long as it is a formal accommodation place, the ID card will be used to register the name. After registration, these records will be uploaded to the computer of the relevant department. He used top hacking technology to hack in and search for the records of Yan Guishan and Mrs. Shen. However, there is absolutely no record of Yan Guishan, because this guy doesn't even have an ID card. However, I found a few records of Mrs. Shen, most of which were several years ago, and she only had one record recently. Just last night, she opened a room at the Daehao Hotel. According to this record, Wang Haoran hacked into the hotel's surveillance records again and found the scene of Yan Guishan and Mrs. Shen coming here. What Wang Haoran intercepted was the scene where Yan Guishan and Mrs. Shen entered a room at night and came out the next day. A couple of grown men and women entered a room at night and only came out the next day. Think with your toes, you know what happened. After receiving the video, Tang Bingyun opened it and looked at it and immediately understood, only to feel very disgusting. No wonder Yan Guishan and Mrs. Shen's eyes were not right just now, so this is the reason. After she said a word of contempt, she looked confused, seeing Wang Haoran asked, "Where did you get this video from?" Of course it's not the right way. If you catch it, you may be fined or even detained for a few days. You don't want to report me, right? Wang Haoran joked. What are you thinking? Of course not. Tang Bingyun gave him a white look. Show this video to your old man to enjoy. Okay, I'll go back right now, thank you. Tang Bingyun naturally understood what he meant. A smile like a spring breeze appeared on his frosty pretty face. Ding, one of the female protagonists. Tang Bingyun's favorability rating for the host has increased by 5, and the current total favorability rating is 65. Love from the heart. Ding, the host influences the plot direction and gets 200 villain points. Wait a minute, since your old man will agree to the marriage contract, he should have some understanding of Yan Guishan's behavior. If this video achieves the effect you want, you don't have to quarrel with him. You can choose to ask for Yan Guishan's medical report. Wang Haoran said. Ask for a medical report. Why is this? Tang Bingyun didn't understand. Think about it. Yan Guishan likes to play outside so much, the ghost knows if he will get some disease. If the physical examination finds out that Yan Guishan has something wrong, your father will definitely cancel the engagement. Wang Haoran made up a reason. In fact, with the protagonist's luck value, it is almost impossible to contract that kind of unclean disease. However, Yan Guishan's aspect is abolished, which is a fact. He didn't believe it anymore. Old man Tang knew that the eunuch Yan Guishan would still bite the bullet and insist on the marriage contract. You're right, this Yan Guishan is so disgusting, maybe he is really sick. Tang Bingyun nodded in agreement, only to feel goosebumps all over his body, and he was immediately disgusted with Yan Guishan to the extreme. Chapter 113. A good show is coming. Tang Bingyun's composure shattered the moment her deception was laid bare. She sat rigid, a flush of embarrassment creeping up her neck, her eyes darting instinctively toward Wang Haoran for a way out. Since you've seen through it, I won't pretend any longer, Wang Haoran said, his tone shifting to one of easygoing honesty. We aren't a couple. He reached for a clean porcelain cup, tipping the teapot to fill it. As he moved to hand the tea to Yan Guishan, his fingers flicked with invisible precision. A supreme-level poisoning technique required no grand gestures, leaving no trace even under the watchful eyes of a veteran. Drink some tea to dispel the heat of your anger, Wang Haoran suggested. Yan Guishan's opinion of the teenager was low, but he was the Wolf King. He had an image to maintain. With Tang Bingyun watching, he couldn't afford to be seen bullying a boy. A man's greatest weapon in the presence of a woman was his poise. Besides, it was only a few kisses. Yan Guishan had lived a life of excess abroad, his conquests too numerous to count on hands and feet combined. He didn't expect a woman like Tang Bingyun to be a blank sheet of paper. He accepted the cup, took a measured sip, and set it down. It was a silent olive branch, a signal to Tang Bingyun that the boy's antics were forgiven. Wang Haoran suppressed a chuckle. I'm starving. Let's order. When the waiter presented the menu, Wang Haoran didn't hesitate. He bypassed the appetizers and selected 5 of the hotel's most expensive signature dishes. Yan Guishan's brow furrowed at the blatant extravagance, but he kept his mouth shut. With Tang Bingyun at the table, he had to play the generous benefactor. "President Tang is here? Why didn't you say something?" A jovial voice cut through the air. A man and a woman approached, hands intertwined. The man was in his 50s, sporting a prominent belly and small, squinting eyes that seemed to disappear into his cheeks. The woman at his side was young and radiant, carrying an air of intellectual elegance. At a glance, they looked like father and daughter, but the intimacy of their strides suggested a much different arrangement. This was Shen Kong, the owner of this luxury establishment. "Mr. Shen, Mrs. Shen." "Good evening," Tang Bingyun replied. She offered a polite smile to the wife, but a flicker of disgust crossed her face when her gaze landed on Shen Kong. Mrs. Shen returned the smile, but her eyes lingered on Tang Bingyun a moment too long. A sharp pang of jealousy bit at her. She was a beauty in her own right, but standing next to Tang Bingyun made her feel 2 grades inferior. Her gaze wandered to the other men at the table. The handsome youth was pleasant to look at, but then her eyes snapped to the man sitting opposite him. Her breath hitched. It's him. The memory of a reckless night spent in this very hotel rushed back. She had assumed she would never see Yan Guishan again, yet here he was. She fought to swallow her panic, forcing her expression into a mask of calm. Yan Guishan, by contrast, remained perfectly composed. He had no reason to fear. Mrs. Shen's rebellion against her husband had been a quiet one, born of a desire for revenge she didn't dare make public. She lived in terror of Shen Kang's temper. Yan Guishan, the mercenary king who had traversed war zones, saw no threat in a man like Shen Kong. He didn't just ignore the tension, he leaned into it, his eyes tracking Mrs. Shen with predatory intent. Wang Haoran watched the silent exchange. He had no interest in the Shens, but Yan Guishan's shifting expression caught his eye. Following the soldier's gaze, he saw Mrs. Shen's eyes darting away in a frantic search for an exit. "There's a story here," Wang Haoran realized. He knew the type. These soldier kings lived on the edge of death, and when they finally tasted peace, they indulged in every vice available. Women were their preferred currency. If Yan Guishan and Mrs. Shen had a history, it wasn't just unsurprising, it was expected. And looking at Shen Kong, the quintessential wealthy toolman, the narrative was clear. The man was famous in Qingling for his scandalous affairs with models and starlets. It was only poetic for his wife to seek her own entertainment. Shen Kong remained oblivious to the undercurrents. His squinting eyes were fixed on Tang Bingyun, his desire transparent and oily. Before he could speak, his phone chimed. He stepped away for a moment, returning with a distracted air. "President Tang, the bill is on the house. I have urgent matters to attend to, but I'll return shortly." He turned a cold look toward his wife. "The general manager needs me to handle some business. Don't follow me. Wander the hotel if you must." "I understand," Mrs. Shen replied. Her voice was obedient, but her heart was full of bile. "Business? More like a private meeting with some slut in a suite upstairs. Enjoy your meal," she added politely to the table before walking off toward the lounge. "I need to use the restroom," Yan Guishan said, standing abruptly. He didn't wait for a response before heading after her. Tang Bingyun sighed as soon as they were alone. "He didn't believe us for a second. All that effort for nothing. Plan A failed, but Plan B is just getting started," Wang Haoran said, his voice brimming with a calm that surprised her. "Plan B? You had a second plan? Keep it a secret for now." Wang Haoran pushed his chair back. "I'll be right back." He followed at a distance. Through his perspective vision, he saw Yan Guishan stalking Mrs. Shen. The soldier king wasn't looking for a chat, he was looking for a conquest. Wang Haoran watched them slip into the men's restroom on the same floor, disappearing into a stall. He followed, stepping into the adjacent cubicle with the silence of a ghost. A good show was about to begin. Chapter 114. The Lost Soldier King. The muffled sounds of an argument filtered through the thin wall of the restroom stall. "You're crazy, why did you drag me in here?" Mrs. Shen's voice was a sharp, low hiss, vibrating with barely contained fury. "I saw you were in a bad mood. I only wanted to comfort you," Yan Guishan replied, his tone smooth and high-minded. In truth, the lingering sting of Wang Haoran and Tang Bingyun's public display of affection had left him agitated. He needed an outlet for his frustration, a way to reclaim his sense of dominance. "I don't need your comfort," she snapped, her voice cold as ice. "Woman, you're lying. You crave it." Yan Guishan let a charming, predatory smile play on his lips. Silence stretched between them for several long seconds. Then, the heat of the moment combined with a sudden, reckless impulse. Mrs. Shen threw caution to the wind. Fine. Then show me those skills of yours. My husband doesn't take me seriously, so why should I remain faithful to him? The damage is already done, a few more times won't change anything. Yan Guishan moved to accept the invitation, but his confidence evaporated almost instantly. A look of dazed confusion crossed his face. Mrs. Shen pulled back, her eyes widening in disbelief. I don't know what's happening, Yan Guishan stammered, his face pale and dusty. I must be exhausted from last night. The minutes ticked by in an agonizing, fruitless silence. Useless. What a total waste of my time, Mrs. Shen spat. Disappointment bled into genuine anger. She cracked the stall door open, checked that the hallway was clear, and vanished into the hotel corridor without looking back. Yan Guishan remained in the stall, his face ghostly. His mind was a frantic swirl of questions. How could he, the Wolf King of the Blood Prison, fail so miserably? Ding. The host has used poison to destroy the protagonist Yan Guishan's virility. Reward 800 villain points. Yan Guishan's protagonist Halo -40. Host's villain Halo +40. Wang Haoran leaned back against the tile of the neighboring stall and let out a silent, satisfied laugh. He had borrowed the idea from Xiao Yifeng's silver needles, but his own supreme-level poison was far more elegant. It was a phantom strike, invisible to the eye and undetectable by the most advanced medical equipment in the world. Wang Haoran slipped out of the restroom and returned to the dining table. Half an hour later, Yan Guishan stumbled back to his seat, looking like a man who had seen a ghost. Not even a soldier of his legendary resolve could withstand a blow to his very manhood. Wang Haoran and Tang Bingyun had already finished their meal. In the interim, Wang Haoran had even found a quiet corner, with a computer to dig into the hotel's digital records. Mr. Yan, you were gone a long time. Is everything all right? Wang Haoran asked, his voice dripping with feigned concern. I ran into an acquaintance. We lost track of time chatting, Yan Guishan replied, his voice dull and hollow. There's a bit of food left if you're still hungry. We're heading out now. Right. Okay, Yan Guishan muttered. His focus was entirely internal, desperately trying to diagnose the failure of his own body. Wang Haoran and Tang Bingyun stepped out into the cool night air. Yan Guishan looked completely lost. Did you have something to do with that? Tang Bingyun asked, glancing at him sideways. I did. So this was plan B? What did you do to him? Aunt Tang, some things are better left unsaid. Just know I did it for your sake. Wang Haoran offered a cryptic smile, refusing to elaborate. I believe you, she said, though a pout touched her lips. But can you please stop calling me Aunt Tang? I'm afraid if you say it enough, I'll actually start feeling old. I can't do that. If I stop calling you Aunt, the family hierarchy falls apart. I have to maintain the proper seniority. Tang Bingyun's face flushed with irritation. Oh, so now you care about seniority? After you treated me like that at the table? The memory of the kiss flashed in her mind, and the retort died in her throat. Yan Guishan shouldn't be bothering you anymore, Wang Haoran said, steering the conversation back to the task at hand. Now we just need to deal with your grandfather. What's the next move? Check your phone. Wang Haoran tapped a few commands on his screen and sent a video file via WeChat. While they were eating, he had used his hacking skills to bypass the hotel's security. Since Yan Guishan lacked a formal ID, there were no room logs for him, but Mrs. Shen's records were a goldmine. She had checked into the hotel the previous night. Wang Haoran had pulled the surveillance footage of the two of them entering the suite and leaving together the following morning. The implication was unmistakable. Tang Bingyun watched the video, her expression shifting from curiosity to deep disgust. No wonder they were acting so strange earlier. This is repulsive. She looked up at Wang Haoran, her confusion returning. How did you get access to this? Let's just say I didn't use the front door. If I were caught, I'd probably be looking at a few days in detention. You wouldn't report me, would you? Don't be ridiculous, she said, rolling her eyes. Take that video to the old man. Let him enjoy the show. I'll go back right now. Thank you, Haoran. The frost on her face melted into a warm, radiant smile. Ding. Tang Bingyun's favorability has increased by 5. Current total 65. Love from the heart. Ding. The host has influenced the plot direction. Reward 200 villain points. One more thing, Wang Haoran added as she turned to leave. Your grandfather might try to excuse Yan Guishan's behavior as youthful indiscretion. If he digs his heels in, don't argue. Just demand a full medical report for the groom. A medical report? Why? Think about it. A man who plays around as much as Yan Guishan is bound to have picked up something unpleasant. If the tests show he's compromised, your grandfather will have no choice but to cancel the engagement. It was a clever lie. With a protagonist's luck, Yan Guishan would never catch a common disease. But the fact remained that he was now physically incapable of being a husband. Wang Haoran knew that once the eunuch status of the soldier king was revealed, the marriage contract would be dead in the water. You're right, Tang Bingyun said, a shiver of revulsion running down her spine. He's disgusting. He's probably riddled with something. She nodded firmly, her hatred for Yan Guishan reaching its peak as she hurried toward her car. Chapter 115. Fang Suan asks for help. Night fell over a slightly dilapidated residential area. In the open concrete space downstairs, a group of ants moved in sync to the rhythmic blare of square dance music. Fang Suan pedaled into the complex on a shared bicycle, her shoulders slumped from a long shift. The dancers, all neighbors who had known her for years, offered polite nods. Fang Suan returned the greetings with practiced courtesy, hoping to slip away, but one particularly eloquent ant broke formation to intercept her. Suan, listen to me, the woman started, her voice rising over the music as she launched into an expansive pitch. He's a corporate executive, 500,000 yuan a year. Sure, it's a second marriage and there are 2 kids at home, but a man like that provides stability. I'm not interested, Fang Suan said, her voice tight. Even in her most desperate moments, she wouldn't sell her life to a man like that. The ant's face soured. The man was a relative, and Fang Suan's blunt refusal felt like a slap. You shouldn't be so picky, girl. Your family is drowning in debt, you have a 20-year-old brother with no job, and 2 parents who are nothing but a burden. Conditions like yours? You're lucky anyone is asking. Who are you to look down on a second marriage? The surrounding women chimed in, their sharp tongues wagging in agreement. Fang Suan found herself trapped, unable to get a word in edgewise. She tried to maneuver her bike around them, but the matchmaker stepped into her path, blocking her escape. Then, a thunderous roar drowned out the dance music. The ants froze. A golden supercar rounded the corner, its engine growling like a caged beast before it screeched to a halt right in front of the group. Eyes widened, most of these women had only seen such machines through a television screen. Fang Suan stared, her brow furrowing. This neighborhood was home to the working class and the struggling. Why would a wealthy second-generation heir bring a luxury beast into these ruins? The scissor doors swung upward with a hiss. A man stepped out, and the shock caused several ants to nearly lose their footing. It was Fang Hung. Brother? Fang Suan's voice was filled with confusion. This car, Lamborghini, Fang Hung declared, leaning against the golden frame with a smug, proud grin. Pretty cool, right? You bought this. Fang Hung nodded, soaking in the stunned silence. How much? Fang Suan pressed. It's the top-tier configuration. With the fees and formalities, it came to about 9.8 million. Fang Hung spoke as if he were discussing the price of a lunch special. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. The Fang boy had made it. The square dance was forgotten as the ants swarmed him, their previous ridicule replaced by eager, sugary flattery. Fang Hung basked in the attention. For years, these women had looked down on him. Being rich felt incredible. His triumph was short-lived, however, when he looked at his sister. Fang Suan's face was pale and rigid. She wasn't impressed. She was furious. In another part of the city, Wang Haoran felt a familiar vibration in his pocket. Ding. The host's behind-the-scenes manipulation has caused the protagonist Fang Hung to fail his face-slapping moment in front of the heroine. Reward, 300 villain points. Wang Haoran paused. He had just parted ways with Tang Bingyun, and was heading toward Qin Yunhan's dormitory. Intrigued, he pulled up his phone and accessed the remote monitor on Fang Suan's movements. Sister, I spent nearly 10 million, Fang Hung said, his voice dropping as he approached her. It's a bit expensive, but I've made so much money lately that it's practically pocket change. Fang Suan felt a surge of bile. He made the money? If she hadn't sacrificed her dignity to Wang Haoran, her foolish brother wouldn't have a cent to his name. She had planned to save that 10 million for their parents' medical bills. Now, her brother had literally set it on wheels. Go back and return this car tomorrow, Fang Suan commanded. What? Why would I return it? Fang Hung's pride deflated into confusion. I got a call today. They found a kidney match for Mom. We can arrange the surgery now, but between the transplant costs and the recovery, we're looking at nearly 2 million yuan. A match? That's amazing. Fang Hung cheered. He waved a hand dismissively. But sister, don't you still have nearly 20 million in your account? Just use that. Fang Suan went silent. She had no money. Because she couldn't bear the thought of Wang Haoran being cheated by her brother's fake antiques, she had returned every cent of that money to him in secret. Now, she was trapped by her own silence. She couldn't tell Fang Hung the truth about her dishonorable arrangement. A car is just a tool for transportation, she hissed. Why buy something so ostentatious? Return it. I can't. I'd lose a fortune on the return fees. Besides, I love this car. I'm not giving it up. Fang Heng's jaw set in a stubborn line. Are you really going to ignore me? Fang Suan's voice trembled. Sister, I earned the money. I get to decide how to spend it. Fang Suan's hand flew up, an instinctual urge to slap some sense into him, but she stopped herself. Her hand fell to her side. She turned away, walking into the shadows of the building. She pulled out her phone and dialed the only person who could help. Wang Haoran watched the incoming call on his screen. He had heard the entire argument through the bug. He knew exactly why she was calling, but he decided to let her simmer. He ignored the first call. Minutes later, the phone rang again. He ignored it again. Fang Suan was pacing like a caged animal, her anxiety mounting with every unanswered ring. Finally, Wang Haoran decided she had waited long enough. He called her back. I need to see you, Fang Suan said immediately, her voice urgent. At the hotel. The usual place. I'm busy tonight, Wang Haoran replied smoothly. Let's make it another day. It's okay. I can wait. I'll wait as long as it takes. We're adults, Suan. I told you I have an appointment with someone else. Don't you understand what that means? The silence on the other end was heavy. Fang Suan wasn't naive. She knew he had other women. Can you cancel? If I come over and stay with you, I'm a fair man. I don't cast people aside just because someone else asks. Wang Haoran's tone was firm, but he paused, letting the silence hang before pivoting. However, if you're willing, I suppose I could have my cake and eat it too. Fang Suan gasped. She didn't speak for a long time. No? Well, excuse me then. Goodbye. Wait. Don't hang up. She took a jagged breath, her pride crumbling into dust. Where? The old place. Chapter 116. The King of Soldiers calls for foreign aid. Night draped over the Tang family manor. Inside a quiet, elegant suite, Elder Tang sipped his tea with leisurely poise. A sudden, sharp knock at the door shattered the silence, accompanied by a questioning voice. Grandpa, are you asleep? Recognizing his granddaughter's tone, Elder Tang moved with surprising agility. He shoved the tea set out of sight and collapsed against the head of the bed, arranging his features into a mask of terminal exhaustion. No. Come in. Tang Bingyun pushed the door open. Her eyes tracked the room with a cold, analytical precision. Bingyun, the old man wheezed. He let his head fall back, his voice a frail rasp. I'm afraid my time is running out. Before I go to my grave, I just want to see you settled. Please. Can you promise me that? The look he gave her was one of profound, dying regret. Tang Bingyun knew it was a performance. Her heart remained steady, yet she played along, her voice smooth and cooperative. I'm willing to marry, Grandpa, but I need a good home. I won't throw my life away casually. Yan Guishan, the old man said, his voice gaining a sudden, eager strength. He is your best choice. A perfect home. Is he? Tang Bingyun's smile was thin and indifferent. She pulled her phone from her pocket and played the video Wang Haoran had provided. This woman is Shen Kang's wife. She's a married woman, Grandpa. Yan Guishan is actively sabotaging a family. He's a disgusting opportunist. Do you really believe I can entrust my life to someone like that? Elder Tang watched the footage. A flicker of genuine dissatisfaction crossed his face, but he didn't break character. It takes two to tango, Bingyun. If the woman was willing, you can't place all the blame on the man. So you're saying he was forced? Tang Bingyun's sneer was sharp enough to cut. Men are prone to acting out of impulse. Besides, he isn't married yet. Once he has a wife, he'll change. He'll settle down. Tang Bingyun stared at him, momentarily speechless. Even with the evidence in front of him, her grandfather was still making excuses for the man. Fortunately, Wang Haoran had anticipated this stubbornness. She moved to her secondary plan. Fine. We'll put that aside for now. But Yan Guishan's lifestyle is clearly reckless. I won't risk contracting a disease from him. If he wants me to even consider the marriage contract, he needs to provide a detailed, comprehensive medical report. That's reasonable, Elder Tang agreed, reaching for his phone. No problem at all. I'll call him right now. Across the city, in a mid-tier hotel room, the atmosphere was far from romantic. Look at you, all that muscle and you're completely useless. A woman in a flashily cut dress snatched her bag and coat from a chair. She glared at Yan Guishan with pure venom. Why do you even bother coming out to play? You're a waste of space. Go to hell. The door slammed shut behind her, leaving Yan Guishan sitting in a heavy, funereal silence. When it had happened with Mrs. Shen, he had clung to the hope that it was a fluke, a result of exhaustion, or the stress of his return. But after the encounter at the bar, the truth was unavoidable. He had adjusted his mood, found a willing partner, and still, nothing. The Wolf King of the Blood Prison had a serious problem. His phone vibrated on the nightstand. He had no desire to speak to anyone, but when he saw Elder Tang's name on the screen, he forced himself to answer. Gui Shan. Great news, the old man chirped. Go to the hospital for a full physical. Once you have the report, send it to Bing Yun. If you're healthy, she's agreed to move forward with the contract. A medical examination. Yan Guishan's face turned a bruised shade of purple. He was the opposite of healthy. I'll get to the hospital as soon as possible, he managed to choke out, trying to keep the panic from his voice. He hung up and stared at the wall. After a long moment of hesitation, he dialed a long-distance international number. Smith. Something is wrong with my body. I need your help. Come to Qingling City, in the Kingdom of Yan. Oh my God. Lord Wolf King. The voice on the other end erupted in English. It's good to hear you. I heard you retired. I thought I'd never see you again. Qingling City? I'll mobilize my medical team and get there as fast as a jet can carry us. Good. Call me the moment you land. I'll pick you up. Yan Guishan exhaled, the tension in his shoulders finally breaking. Smith was an internationally renowned doctor, backed by the finest surgical team money could buy. During his missions abroad, Yan Guishan had been on the brink of death multiple times. Smith had always brought him back. With the best doctors in the world at his side, he would be cured. Then, he would give Tang Bingyun her report. 9 o'clock arrived. The third-year students at Mizusawa Middle School were deep into their evening self-study. Wang Haoran, however, was miles away. He had taken a leave of absence to handle more pressing business. He checked into the Daehao Hotel and sent a quick message to Wen Jing, telling her to meet him at their usual spot. She agreed instantly. Next, he sent a text to Qin Yunhan, informing her that he would be visiting her later that night. Time flowed quietly. Fang Suan and Wen Jing arrived at the hotel suite at almost the same moment. They stood in the doorway, staring at one another with confused, wide eyes. The silence in the room became thick and awkward. Fang Suan, having already spoken to Wang Haoran on the phone, was the first to recover. She had prepared herself mentally for his lack of exclusivity. Hello, Fang Suan said softly, trying to bridge the gap. Hi, Wen Jing responded, her voice small and bewildered. She turned a suspicious look toward Wang Haoran. Why is there someone else here? She's one of us. Wen Jing blinked. The confusion faded, replaced by a quiet acceptance. She considered herself his kitten. A kitten's job was to listen to the owner. If the owner said this was the arrangement, then this was the arrangement. The following morning, Wang Haoran, the master of time management, woke up in Qin Yunhan's bedroom. He had managed less than 3 hours of sleep after navigating his various appointments, yet he felt a surging, restless energy. The dragon and tiger Dabudan was a miracle. Those 5,000 villain points had been a masterstroke of investment. He pulled up his system panel. His points had already climbed back up to 4,300. The speed of the accumulation was staggering. Farming rewards from his female leads was proving to be far more efficient than constantly clashing with protagonists. The path from martial arts to immortality was being paved by these women. Of course, when he did run into a protagonist, he would still strike like a hammer. Today is the third day, Qin Yunhan whispered. The happy glow in her eyes dimmed into a sigh. I guess it's over. The world is a big place, Yunhan, Wang Haoran said, beginning the long con. Maybe there's a doctor out there with skills beyond modern science. Someone who can cure me. He had planned this from the start. He would plant the seed of hope now, so that when he miraculously recovered later, she wouldn't suspect a thing. Hope rekindled in Qin Yunhan's eyes. Wang Haoran watched her reaction, a silent observation running through his mind. This once unruly young lady was becoming increasingly attached. She was becoming greedy for more. Chapter 117. The Wolf King's Despair. Wang Haoran watched the morning light filter into the room, a speculative thought crossing his mind. He turned to the young woman beside him. If my illness can't be cured in the future, will you still follow me? Qin Yunhan looked as if she had been struck. Her eyes welled with tears, and her voice trembled with fierce conviction. Why would you even ask that? Don't you understand what I mean? In this lifetime, apart from you, it is impossible for me to love anyone else. I'm just speaking casually, Wang Haoran said, pulling her close to soothe her. Internally, he marveled at the power of a 90-point favorability rating. A devotion that remained unswerving until death was extraordinary. It meant her tolerance for his actions would be incredibly high. This unruly young lady, who once delighted in calling him her little brother and pointing fingers at his every flaw, was finally the one suffering under the turn of the tides. During recess the next morning, Wang Haoran stepped away from the buzz of the classroom. With a few taps on his phone, he transferred 3 million yuan to Fang Suan. The response was nearly instantaneous. His phone vibrated in his hand before 10 seconds had passed. He found a quiet corner of the school grounds to answer. "I'm not a woman who is greedy for money," Fang Suan said, her voice tight with a mix of pride and necessity. "I'm treating this as a loan. I will return every cent to you later." From her perspective, the 10 million yuan he had already provided was more than enough to cover any perceived debt. There was no reason for him to keep giving. No need to pay it back. "I gave it to you. Give it to me directly?" Disbelief colored her tone. "Yes, it's yours." Wang Haoran leaned against a wall, a faint smile on his lips. If he waited for Fang Suan to pay him back, he would be an old man before the debt was settled. A few $1,000,000 was a drop in the bucket for him, especially with the rich boy Fang Hung constantly lining his pockets with the proceeds of his protagonist luck. If this gift secured Fang Suan's loyalty, the return on investment was priceless. "No, I can't just take it. It's a loan," Fang Suan insisted. "I've made my decision," Wang Haoran said, his voice dropping into a tough, uncompromising register. "If you keep arguing, I'll take back the entire amount." The threat worked. Fang Suan's protests died in her throat, replaced by a cautious compromise. "Fine. But my mother's treatment only costs 2 million. I don't need the extra. I'll send the remaining million back to your account. Keep it. Buy some better clothes. Those cheap fabrics you wear are prone to sagging if you use them too long." A heavy silence followed his cold remark. On his end, a system notification chimed. "The heroine Fang Suan's favorability has increased by 10. Current total 55. Love from the heart. Ding. The host has influenced the plot direction. Reward, 300 villain points. Thank you," Fang Suan finally whispered. "I will remember you for the rest of my life. I don't need you to remember me well. I need you to be honest. When I look for you in the future, stop scowling. Be a little more enthusiastic." Wang Haoran thought back to her stiff demeanor the previous night, and couldn't help the complaint. "I will. In the future, if you need it, I'll be there whenever I'm called." Her voice was soft, her face likely burning red. "I'll hold you to that. Remember it." Wang Haoran ended the call, a sense of satisfaction settling over him. At the Qingling airport exit, a foreign medical team emerged into the humid air. The group consisted of 10 professionals, 8 of whom were foreigners. At their head was a man in his 50s with a sharp, hooked nose and thick glasses perched on his bridge. Yan Guishan stood waiting by the terminal. Relief washed over him as he hurried forward to greet the leader. "Smith, welcome to the Kingdom of Yan." "My lord, it has been a long time." Smith offered a stiff smile, speaking in awkward, broken Yan Guo. "You are still as beautiful as ever. Is my idiom correct?" "Haha, your language skills are improving," Yan Guishan praised, though the compliment felt hollow. "The Kingdom of Yan is a great Eastern power. I have always wanted to see it, though I did not expect our meeting to be under these circumstances." Smith's eyes turned clinical. "Sir, what is the nature of your ailment?" The smile vanished from Yan Guishan's face. He looked around the crowded exit, the secret of his condition clawing at his throat. "This isn't the place to talk. You must be exhausted. I've booked rooms at the Dehao Hotel. Please, follow me." By the afternoon, the team's advanced medical equipment had been delivered to the hotel. After taking a deep breath to steady his nerves, Yan Guishan told Smith the truth. The team immediately began a battery of tests. When the results finally came in, Yan Guishan stared at the complex charts and data points, unable to make sense of the jargon. He looked up at Smith, his eyes pleading. "What the hell is going on with me?" "The report shows that your functional organs are normal," Smith said, his voice level. "There is no organic disease. But I can't stand up. That is a fact. Why would I lie about something like this? Listen to me. While there is no physical damage to the organs, the data suggests your kidneys have been excessively depleted. You have lost your functional ability. Since your return to this country, your lifestyle has been very indulgent, hasn't it?" Smith used the simplified terms he had learned from local medical theories to ensure he was understood. Cold sweat broke out on Yan Guishan's forehead. Since his return, he had indeed spent every night in a blur of romance and indulgence, never pausing to rest. But he had lived the same way abroad. Why had it never been an issue before? He wondered if the women in this city were somehow different, or even poisonous. "Smith, is there a way to cure this?" "Sir, we are old acquaintances, so I will be blunt. There is no possibility of a cure for your current state." "No." Yan Guishan lunged forward, his massive hands gripping Smith's shoulders. He shook the doctor, his voice a desperate roar. "You must cure me. I don't care about the cost. Fix it. He had lived a life of violence and romance. He did not fear death, but this loss was 10 times more agonizing than the grave. He refused to accept it. Sir, please, calm down. Smith gasped, terrified the mercenary leader would snap his collarbone. I will do everything in my power. My team and I will brainstorm a plan immediately. We will find a way. Yan Guishan let go, his chest heaving, his eyes wild and unstable. Smith nodded quickly and hurried from the room to find his colleagues. He had no intention of finding a cure because he knew one didn't exist. His only plan now was escape. He knew the reputation of the Blood Prison Wolf King. If the man truly lost his mind to this despair, he wouldn't hesitate to kill them all. A furious Wolf King was a force of nature, and Smith didn't intend to be in his path when the storm broke. Chapter 118. Those who are favored are fearless. The phone vibrated. Smith had barely cleared the threshold of the hotel room when the buzzing started. Yan Guishan stared at the screen. It was Elder Tang. He drew a long, shuddering breath, forcing his volatile emotions into a small, tight box before answering. Guishan, how was the medical examination? Has the report come out yet? The old man's voice was thin but expectant. I haven't received my identity card yet, Yan Guishan lied. The words felt like lead in his mouth as he scrambled to stabilize the patriarch. Professional institutions won't conduct a physical of this scale without proper documentation. I'm forced to wait for the paperwork. Do you need me to pull some strings? No, that won't be necessary. The card should be finalized in about 3 months. Yan Guishan closed his eyes, desperate to buy himself time. Time for Smith to find a miracle. Time for his body to remember its purpose. 3 months. Elder Tang's impatience crackled through the line. That's far too long. In that case, I think you and Bingyun should get engaged first. We can settle the legalities and health reports later. A cold, hollow disappointment settled in Yan Guishan's chest. He wasn't happy. He was terrified. The abnormality of his body had stripped away his arrogance, leaving behind a jagged sense of inferiority. He didn't know how to look at Tang Bingyun anymore. He was a broken weapon. I'll follow your lead, Elder, Yan Guishan muttered. But will Bingyun actually agree? Leave that to me. I will handle her. Just take care of yourself, Guishan. And stop playing around with those women outside. The advice pierced Yan Guishan's heart. He wanted to laugh or scream. Even if he desired to play, he no longer possessed the ability. Evening at Mizusawa Middle School arrived with a slow, heavy heat. Wang Haoran leaned back in his chair, bored. He decided to stir the pot and sent a message to Qin Yunhan. I want Mandarin duck milk tea. Her reply was a single, eager word, good. She didn't just walk. She trotted. Qin Yunhan hurried to the shop near the school gate, returning with 2 cups, a Mandarin duck milk tea for him, and a papaya milk tea for herself. The handsome customer's order is here, she announced, stepping into Wang Haoran's classroom with the playful lilt of a delivery girl. Please sign for it. A system notification chimed in Wang Haoran's mind. Ding. The host has made Sumwian jealous. Reward 100 villain points. The Vinegar King was back on her throne. Wang Haoran ignored Sumwian entirely. He took the tea from Qin Yunhan, took a long sip, and immediately spat it back into the cup with a scowl. What is this? There's no sugar. I was afraid you'd find it too cloying, Qin Yunhan said, her shoulders hunching slightly. I asked them for only 30% sugar. Would you like me to get another one? Then why are you still standing here? Go. Wang Haoran waved her off like a bothersome fly. Qin Yunhan's lips pressed together, a flash of grievance crossing her face, but she turned and left obediently. 10 minutes later, she returned with a fresh cup. Wang Haoran took a sip and spat it out again. Now it's too sweet. It's like drinking syrup. You complained it wasn't sweet enough. This time I told them full sugar. Why couldn't you just be specific? Her temper flared, a familiar hum of annoyance in her chest. So it's my fault. Qin Yunhan's anger peaked, but she caught herself. She took a deep, shaky breath, smoothing her features. Fine. I'll buy you another one. This time, she returned with a cup at 70% sugar. The balance was perfect. I've changed my mind, Wang Haoran said, leaning back with a bored expression. I don't want Mandarin duck tea. I want lemon milk tea. You. Qin Yunhan looked like she wanted to hammer the table. Typical. The great Miss Qin has such a massive temper. If you don't want to go, then don't. Just leave. I'm busy. Qin Yunhan spun on her heel and marched out. 15 minutes passed. Then, the classroom door opened again. She stood there, a cup of lemon milk tea in her hand and a forced, soft smile on her face. I bought the lemon tea. Please don't be angry, okay? Wang Haoran felt a genuine sense of amazement. This was a girl used to being worshipped, yet here she was, the victim of a clear prank, apologizing to the perpetrator. The wayward heiress had transformed into a devoted follower. Her unswerving favorability meant he could do whatever he wanted. "I wanted that tea 15 minutes ago," he said, his tone icy and detached. "You took too long. I'm doing my homework now, and I don't have time for this. Go away." This time, the fire didn't return to her eyes. She fell silent. She bowed her head, hiding her face, and turned to walk out. As the door closed, a soft, muffled sob echoed in the quiet hallway. Wang Haoran blinked. He hadn't expected her to actually cry. Ding. The host has caused the heroine Qin Yunhan to feel sadness and loss. Reward 500 villain points. Qin Yunhan's heroine halo, -25. Host's villain halo, +25. He stared at the prompt. He could earn rewards for hurting her. That was an unexpected development. He had only intended to test her patience, to see how far the unswerving loyalty went. He pulled out his phone, intending to send a comforting text. Before he could type a word, a message from her popped up. "I know you're in a bad mood because of your illness. I should be more understanding. I promise I will never lose my temper with you again. Can you forgive me?" Wang Haoran sighed. He wanted to comfort her, but she had forestalled him by comforting him. It was just as the song said, "Those who are favored have nothing to fear." He sent a quick reply, admitting he was also at fault. She responded instantly with a happy emoji. The storm passed. As night self-study began, Wang Haoran slipped on a pair of wireless headphones. He had managed to implant a monitoring virus on Tang Bingyun's phone the previous day. Now, he listened to the rhythm of her life. In the world of the Soldier King, the heroine was a magnet for danger. Though Yan Guishan was currently preoccupied with his own biological failure, the plot was a living thing. Tang Bingyun was likely still on a collision course with trouble. If he could play the savior, he could bridge the gap. Her favorability sat at 65. 5 more points and she would hit 70. At that level, the deep love threshold, she would be his. After that, the routines would practically run themselves. Chapter 119. Rescue Tang Bingyun. 7:30 in the evening. The headquarters of the Tang Jewelry Group loomed over the city, a monolith of glass and steel. Tang Bingyun rubbed her temples, clearing the final stack of documents from her desk. She was ready to escape the office and sink into a hot bath when her phone buzzed. The name on the screen made her pause. Mrs. Shen. The two women moved in the same elite circles, but rarely spoke. Their contact information was a professional courtesy, a digital handshake after a few brief meetings. They had never exchanged a single phone call until now. Puzzled, Tang Bingyun answered. After a few rounds of mandatory, hollow politeness, Mrs. Shen cut to the chase. "President Tang, I'm so sorry to bother you after hours. I'm looking to purchase a set of high-end jade jewelry. I wanted to see if you were free to discuss it." Fatigue pulled at Tang Bingyun's eyelids. She wanted rest, not social labor. "I might be able to help. What is your budget, Mrs. Shen?" If the number was small, she would simply direct the woman to one of her retail storefronts the next morning. It would save her the trouble of a personal meeting. A silence stretched over the line, lasting more than 10 seconds. "My budget isn't huge," Mrs. Shen finally replied. "It's around 15 million yuan. The fatigue vanished instantly. Tang Bingyun sat up straight, her pulse quickening with professional interest. High-end jade carried significant margins. A 15 million yuan sale could net a profit of 30 to 40%. This wasn't just a favor, it was a windfall. "The office is quite busy, of course," Tang Bingyun said, her voice expertly masking her excitement with a tone of calm, busy grace. "But since it's you, Mrs. Shen, I'll certainly make the time. Where would you like to meet?" "The Beauty and Wellness Center on the 3rd floor of the Dehao Hotel. I've reserved a private suite for a treatment. Room 009. I'll see you shortly." Across the city, Wang Haoran adjusted his headphones. The virus he had planted on Tang Bingyun's phone worked flawlessly, feeding the entire conversation directly into his ears. He didn't like the sound of it. The last time he encountered the Shens, he had pegged Shin Kong as a classic toolman antagonist, a wealthy, arrogant gangster waiting for a protagonist to break his nose. A man like that wouldn't just let a woman like Tang Bingyun walk away without a scheme. Mrs. Shen might have placed the call, but Shin Kong was likely pulling the strings. Wang Haoran tossed his phone onto the bed and grabbed his jacket. It didn't matter if his suspicion was wrong. He was planning to stay at the hotel tonight anyway. As a master of time management, he refused to waste a single minute. He reached the Dehao Hotel Wellness Center ahead of Tang Bingyun. Most clients were women, but a few men frequented the spa for high-end treatments, allowing him to blend in. Room 009 was currently empty. He moved quickly, preparing the stage before the actors arrived. Tang Bingyun arrived at the hotel still wearing her sharp professional suit. She bypassed the lobby and headed straight for the third floor. Inside room 009, Mrs. Shen sat waiting. Mrs. Shen, I brought the catalog for our top-tier jade, Tang Bingyun said, getting straight to business. She pulled a heavy, leather-bound portfolio from her bag. These are high-end pieces, varied in style and cut. Take a look and see what catches your eye. Mrs. Shen didn't reach for the book. She stared at her lap and let out a long, hollow sigh. I'm sorry, she whispered. I lied to you. Tang Bingyun froze, the catalog halfway across the table. A cold chill prickled the back of her neck. The heavy door clicked shut. Tang Bingyun spun around. Shen Kong stood by the entrance, his hand dropping from the lock. He had slipped in like a shadow. It's quite all right, Mrs. Shen, Tang Bingyun said, her voice trembling despite her best efforts to remain poised. If you've changed your mind about the jade, it's no trouble at all. We are still friends. She checked her watch, her eyes darting toward the exit. I have another appointment to keep, so I'll take my leave. Goodbye, Mrs. Shen. Mr. Shen. She tried to brush past him, but Shen Kong moved with surprising speed, blocking her path. President Tang, you just got here. Why the rush to leave? He smiled, his small, narrow eyes disappearing into the folds of his face. My assistant is waiting for me in the car downstairs, Tang Bingyun said, her voice hardening. If I'm not out in 3 minutes, she has orders to come looking for me. Don't play games with me. Shen Kang's laugh was a wet, unpleasant sound. I watched the security feed. You arrived alone. Tang Bingyun's composure shattered. We are prominent business figures in this city, President Shen. I suggest you think very carefully about the consequences of your impulses. Thank you for the advice, Shen Kong sneered. That's exactly why I've hidden several cameras in this room. They'll capture your beauty from every possible angle. If you cooperate, the footage stays with me. If you don't, I'll share it with millions of curious netizens. Despair crashed over her. She was a businesswoman, not a fighter. She had no way to overpower him. She looked toward the other woman. Mrs. Shen, help me. Mrs. Shen merely sighed and turned her head away, staring at the wall in silent complicity. Tang Bingyun looked around the room, her eyes landing on a heavy glass tumbler on the side table. The glass shattered against the edge of the desk. Tang Bingyun gripped a jagged shard, pressing the razor-sharp edge against her own throat. Her eyes were wide, burning with a terrifying determination. She would rather die than endure this. Shen Kong recoiled, startled by her ferocity. The room fell into a deathly, frozen silence. Suddenly, the door swung open. Wang Haoran stepped inside, having used a master key to make his entrance. Haoran, Tang Bingyun's voice broke, a mixture of shock and pure, unfiltered relief. I'm here now, Wang Haoran said. His voice was low, steady, and vibrating with an authority that seemed to fill the small room. No one is going to touch you. He walked directly to her, ignoring Shen Kong entirely. He gently took the glass shard from her trembling hand and tossed it aside. He didn't use a playful nickname or his usual teasing tone. He spoke with the gravity of a protector. Tang Bingyun's heart surged. The terror of the last few minutes collapsed into a wave of overwhelming gratitude. She threw her arms around him, clinging to him as if he were the only solid thing in a world turned to water. Ding. Tang Bingyun's favorability has increased by 10. Current total 75. Deep love. Ding. The host has influenced the plot direction. Reward 800 villain points. Yan Guishan's heroine halo, -30. Host's villain halo +30. Ding. The host has intercepted the protagonist Yan Guishan's role in rescuing the heroine. Reward 300 villain points. Chapter 120. Mental damage fee. This trip was no waste of time. Wang Haoran suppressed a snicker as the system prompt faded from his vision. Tang Bingyun's favorability had surged to 75. That was a qualitative shift, a threshold that opened up entirely new possibilities. Now, he just needed to find the right way to seal the deal. Who are you? Shen Kong snarled, his face twisted with the irritation of a man whose prey had been snatched away. Wang Haoran gave a casual, nonchalant shrug. Well, my father is Wang Xiang. My mother is Zhen Li. Does that help? Shen Kang's eyelids twitched. The names hit him like a physical blow. Everyone in the city knew the power behind the Wang and Zhen families. He had seen the boy once before, but the realization that this teenager was the scion of such a massive empire changed everything. This was a super-rich second generation with backing that made Shen Kang's own capital look like pocket change. It seems there has been a misunderstanding, Shen Kong muttered, his aggressive stance instantly wilting. He forced a stiff nod toward the woman. President Tang, I'm sorry to have bothered you. He turned to leave, but a heavy thud echoed through the room. Wang Haoran had slammed his foot against the door, swinging it shut, and pinning it firmly with his weight. You think you can just drop a sentence and walk out? Wang Haoran's expression was one of cold, arrogant disdain. That's a bit simple, isn't it? You clearly don't take me seriously. Shen Kong feared the parents, but he clearly held no respect for the son. Seeing a mere boy point fingers at him made his blood boil. How old are you, kid? How dare you try to dictate terms to me? The sound of the slap cracked through the room. Wang Haoran's palm connected with Shen Kang's cheek before the man could even blink. You little. Shen Kong roared, his hand flying up to strike back. Another crack followed. The second slap caught him on the other side of the face, while his hand was still midair. He stood frozen, stunned by the sheer speed of the assault. He hadn't even seen the boy move. I'll give you one opportunity to reorganize your language, Wang Haoran said, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Shen Kong swallowed hard, the urge to retaliate dying a swift death. What is it you want? That's much better, Wang Haoran replied, his tone shifting back to a mocking lightness. You know, the presidential suite in this hotel is quite nice. I find myself here often, but at 8,000 or 9,000 a night, it really is a bit steep, don't you think? I'll have a suite specially reserved for you, Shen Kong blurted out, desperate for an exit. You can stay whenever you like. All expenses will be waived. Wang Haoran sneered. Who do you think you're looking down on? Even if I lived here every day, that's barely a few million a year. You think you can buy me off with pocket change? Shen Kang's brow furrowed. Then what are you saying? You're a big boss, Shen. Why is your comprehension so poor? You want the hotel? Shen Kong let out a cold, sharp snort. Your appetite is far too large. Let me show you something first. Wang Haoran pulled out his phone and tapped the screen, turning it toward the older man. Shen Kong leaned in, his eyes widening, as he recognized the live surveillance feed of the very room they were standing in. Panic set in. How was his own hidden camera feed playing on the boy's phone? If Wang Haoran was watching the feed, he had a high-definition recording of the attempted assault and the threats against Tang Bingyun. He had a smoking gun. Shen Kong weighed the risks and felt the weight of the evidence crushing him. Since my young nephew likes my hotel so much, I suppose I'll give it to you. I'm not a robber, Uncle Shen, Wang Haoran corrected him, emphasizing the point with a sharp look. I am buying this hotel from you. I'm not asking for a gift. Shen Kong felt a flicker of relief. Selling it at a discount was better than a total loss. And how much is my nephew planning to pay? Wang Haoran held up a single finger. $1. Shen Kang's face contorted. The five-star property was valued at nearly 300 million yuan, and the boy was offering the price of a candy bar. The worst part was that he couldn't say no. I will have my lawyer prepare the transfer contract immediately, Shen Kong said, the words tasting like ash. Excellent. Wang Haoran smiled and poured a cup of tea from the pot on the table, handing it over with feigned warmth. Drink up. Calm your nerves. Once the papers are signed, we'll consider the matter settled. Shen Kong took the cup and drained it in a single gulp. If he was losing a 300 million yuan asset for $1, he might as well take the free tea. Wang Haoran watched him swallow, a flicker of dark pity dancing in his eyes. The ingredients in that tea were identical to the brew Yan Guishen had enjoyed. Damn it. What are you waiting for? Let's go. Shen Kong barked at his wife. He spun on his heel and stormed out of the wellness center, his face a mask of fury. With his supreme-level poisoning skills, Wang Haoran could have ended the man without leaving a trace. But Shen Kong still had a part to play. He was the perfect tool to use against Yan Guishan later. Why are you even here? Tang Bingyun asked, her voice trembling with the after-effects of the adrenaline. My back has been bothering me, Wang Haoran lied effortlessly. I took a leave of absence to get a massage at the health center. In truth, since taking the dragon and tiger pill, his vitality was boundless. Qin Yunhan, Wen Jing, and Fang Suan had all been left begging for mercy. Is it serious? You should see a specialist, Tang Bingyun said, her worry evident. Just a minor thing. Too much time sitting at a desk with my studies. A quick session here should fix it. He waved the concern away and leaned closer. I helped you out today. Are you feeling better? Much better, she said, a relaxed smile finally touching her lips. When Shen Kong gets the contract ready, have a lawyer sign it. We'll put the property in your name. Think of it as a mental damage fee for your trouble. Tang Bingyun shook her head. I can handle the paperwork, but the hotel belongs to you. I'm not short on cash. Fair enough. Wang Haoran accepted the compromise. Then his expression turned stern. You were far too careless. How could you let Mrs. Shen trick you like that? She mentioned a 15 million yuan budget for jade. A deal like that brings in millions in profit. I couldn't just walk away from it. I thought you were doing well, Wang Haoran teased. Are you really that desperate for a few million? Millions are millions, Tang Bingyun said, looking like a defensive little miser. Who in their right mind would turn down money? So, have we learned our lesson? I have. I won't go to meetings alone again. Her phone cut the moment short, ringing loudly in her bag. She pulled it out and winced. It was Elder Tang. She had been avoiding her grandfather ever since the marriage contract became a daily topic. Reluctantly, she pressed the phone to her ear. Bingyun, the old man's voice crackled over the line. The medical reports are going to take some time, but I've already consulted the calendar. I've picked an auspicious date for you and Guishan to get engaged. You should start looking at wedding dresses. Chapter 121. The matter of Mrs. Shen is revealed. Elder Tang's tone wasn't a request. It was an executive order, finalized and polished, leaving Tang Bingyun to simply fall in line. She wasn't having it. Grandpa, I don't agree to this. I want to see the medical report first. I have already decided. I am doing this for your own good, Bingyun. Listen to your grandfather. An engagement is absolutely impossible. Tang Bingyun snapped back, her voice firm and rebellious. Unless I die first. Silence fell over the line, followed by the sound of wet, hacking coughs. It was a violent sound, the kind that made it seem as though the old man was about to lose his lungs. Grandpa, are you all right? Panic bled into Tang Bingyun's voice. Nearby, Wang Haoran watched with a cynical eye. This was clearly another performance from the old man's repertoire, but for someone as filially devoted as Tang Bingyun, the trick worked every time. The coughing eventually subsided into a ragged breath. Bingyun, I'm afraid I won't live long. I only hope to hold my great-grandson while I'm still on this earth. If I can do that, I can close my eyes in peace when the time comes. Tang Bingyun fell silent. Consider what I've said. The line went dead. Tang Bingyun stared into space, her features twisting with internal conflict. She looked truly haunted, her grandfather's words sinking their hooks into her conscience. Wang Haoran observed her, a dark thought flicking through his mind. A healthy man shouldn't play on his granddaughter's sympathy to force a marriage. It made him want to remove the old man from the board entirely. He dismissed the idea as quickly as it came, however. A better plan was already forming. Are you really considering what he said? Wang Haoran asked. Grandpa is getting so old, Tang Bingyun whispered, covering her eyes with one hand. If he stays this angry, I'm afraid of what will happen. But I can't bring myself to marry Yin Guishan. Look at it from a different angle, Wang Haoran suggested, spotting the loophole. Your grandfather wants to hold a grandson. That's the core of it. You could offer a compromise. Tang Bingyun looked up, blinking. What do you mean? Do you have someone you like? The question hit its mark. Tang Bingyun's eyes darted away, her cheeks coloring. She gave a small, hesitant nod. Then it's easy. Be with the person you love. Have a child with them. Your grandfather gets his wish, and you don't have to worry about a forced marriage. The boldness of the suggestion left her stunned. She shook her head desperately. No, that wouldn't work. The person I like, it's not suitable. It's not right for me to have a child with him. It's just not possible. Is he a married man? No. Then what are you afraid of? Go to him. Confess. Given who you are, do you really think he'd turn you down? Wang Haoran pushed, hoping for a confession. He remembered the rewards he had reaped when Sumwen finally admitted her feelings. If Tang Bingyun took the plunge, the system would likely shower him with points. I can't, she whispered. I can't open my mouth to say it. Wang Haoran sighed. Breaking her shell wasn't going to be as simple as he'd hoped. He decided to add a little pressure. Well, it's your life. If you can't find a way out, I suppose you'll just have to marry Yin Guishan. Tang Bingyun lowered her head again, falling into a deep, brooding silence. Wang Haoran let her be. He had planted the seed. Now, he just had to wait for it to grow. After they parted, Wang Haoran pulled out his phone and uploaded an anonymous video. A Bentley Mulsanne glided through the evening traffic. Inside the quiet cabin, Shin Kong sat in the back seat, his blood boiling. The night had been a disaster. He hadn't touched Tang Bingyun. He'd been slapped twice by a teenager, and he'd lost a 5-star hotel for the price of a candy bar. The only thing worse than the loss was the fact that he had to swallow it. The Wang and Zhen families were titans. His hotel chain was a drop in the ocean compared to their reach. Beside him, Mrs. Shen sat as still as a statue, barely daring to breathe. Shin Kong turned his fury on her. I've never asked for your help with my business before. The one time I do, you bring this kind of bad luck into my life. How can you blame me? She retorted, her voice small and aggrieved. I didn't do anything to stop you. You dare talk back to me? Shen Kang's hand flew out, his palm cracking against her face. Mrs. Shen clutched her cheek, tears welling in her eyes. We've been married for 8 years. You've been a womanizer from the second month of our wedding. I never complained. I never stopped you. I even agreed to be your accomplice tonight. And this is how you treat me. If you want a punching bag, then go ahead. Keep hitting me. Shen Kang's hand remained raised, but the fire in him wavered. A flicker of embarrassment crossed his face. I was impulsive. I'm angry. He lowered his hand, though his eyes remained sharp. Tell me the truth. You haven't been playing around behind my back, have you? Of course not, she insisted. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Technically, she'd only strayed once, but compared to his track record, she felt practically saintly. Good. Shen Kang leaned back. His phone vibrated. A video began to play automatically, as if the device had been hijacked by a virus. He expected a spam advertisement, but his eyes locked onto the screen. The footage was from a corridor surveillance camera, time-stamped and crystal clear. It showed a man and a woman entering a room together and emerging the next morning. The woman in the video was the woman sitting right next to him. The man looked familiar. He realized it was the same man he'd seen recently. A heavy, suffocating weight settled on Shen Kang's chest. So, this is how you guard your virtue? Shen Kang shoved the phone in front of her face. Mrs. Shen's lips trembled. The color drained from her skin. Husband, listen. I can explain. What is there to explain? Shen Kang roared, his arm swinging in a wide arc. The slap sent her reeling. He was bored with his wife, yes, but he would never tolerate being made a cuckold. Chapter 122. Make a bet. What is that man's name? Shen Kang's voice was low, vibrating with a repressed, jagged fury. I don't know. Mrs. Shen shook her head, her breath coming in panicked hitches. Stupid girl. You spent the entire night with him, and you expect me to believe you don't know his name? Shen Kang let out a sharp, angry laugh. I really don't know. She was trembling now, her eyes darting around the interior of the car. Bitch. You found yourself a wild man, and now you're playing the part of the loyal lover. Fine. Wait for me. Once I find him, I'll settle the account with both of you. Shen Kang shoved her aside and began rummaging through his phone's digital contacts. He scrolled past business associates and hotel managers until he found the specific entry he needed. The Wang family was untouchable, protected by mountains of gold and ironclad connections, and he knew better than to strike there. But this unknown interloper, this man who had branded him a cuckold, would not be so lucky. The call connected. Crow, how much to unload a leg? Depends on the leg, a voice rasped from the speaker. It was unpleasant and sharp, mimicking the harsh cry of the bird that provided his namesake. Left or right? The third leg. 1 million. Deal. But I want to be there. I want to watch. No problem. Send the information over. I only have a screenshot from a surveillance feed, Shen Kang admitted. Can you find him with just a photo? We're professionals. Just wait for my call. Crow. Wang Haoran whispered the name to himself. The anonymous video he had sent to Shen Kang carried a hidden passenger, a sophisticated surveillance virus. 10 seconds of playback was all the time the code needed to burrow into the phone's operating system. Now, every word spoken in the back of that Bentley moved directly into Wang Haoran's headset. Shen Kang was actually sending a hitman to castrate the Wolf King. Given Yan Guishan's lethal background, this Raven and Shen Kang were likely walking into a slaughterhouse. Wang Haoran didn't particularly care which side bled more, but his own plan required precision. To execute his next move, he needed to know exactly when and where this strike would occur. He needed an insider. He caught a taxi and headed straight for the Black Peony Bar. The business was thriving as usual. A heavy, pungent cloud of alcohol hung in the air, mixed with the thumping bass of restless music and the sight of bodies writhing on the dance floor. Wang Haoran bypassed the crowd, secured a private room, and sent a message through the waitress he had met during his last visit. Minutes later, the door opened. Zhou Chuchenaya stepped inside. She remained a masterpiece of color and charm, her every movement carrying the effortless grace of a fairy. Wang Haoran felt a familiar surge of desire to tame the wild heroine, but he knew her well enough to know that coercion was useless. She was rigid, tempered by her years in the underworld. He would have to earn her favor 1 point at a time. Currently, her favor sat at a mere 20, a far cry from a full harvest. What are you drinking? She asked, her voice a smooth, mature contralto. She took a seat beside him, the scent of her presence filling the small space. Wang Haoran leaned in, catching a specific, expensive floral note. Imperial Majesty. Zhou Chuchenaya blinked, looking at him with genuine surprise. How can you tell what perfume a woman is wearing? I happen to know it. 400,000 yuan a bottle. You're certainly enjoying your new budget. He didn't mention that the only reason he recognized it was because his mother, Zhen Li, wore it constantly. If you regret the gift, you can take the money back. Zhou Chania maintained a mask of indifference, but a flicker of anxiety touched her eyes. She had become obsessed with the luxury she could now afford, spending nearly half of the 10 million yuan on skincare, designer clothes, and high-end vanity in less than 10 days. I gave it to you. Use it however you like. Wang Haoran waved the comment away. In truth, he wanted her to spend it. Frugality was easy, but once a person grew accustomed to the finest things in life, the descent back to poverty was agonizing. When the money ran dry, she would have nowhere to turn but to him. Do you know a man named Crow? He asked, shifting the topic to business. Zhou Chania's jaw tightened. The head of the new underground force in Qingling. A grudge then. He tried to use my reputation to make a name for himself when he first started. He came at me several times. I was trying to leave that life behind, so I endured it. But I haven't forgotten the insult. He just took a 1 million yuan contract to cripple a man, Wang Haoran said. I need you to keep an eye on him. Let me know the moment he moves. You want to handle him? She let out a soft, skeptical scoff. Crow has power now. He has hundreds of men at his beck and call. Even if you can fight 30 or 40 at once, you can't take on an army. Wang Haoran suppressed a smile. She was severely underestimating him, basing his strength on the small display she had witnessed before. Why don't we make a bet? Wang Haoran suggested, adopting a classic protagonist trope. If I handle Crow, you owe me one thing. If I fail, I owe you. Let's be specific about the stakes, Zhou Chania said. She was a veteran of the streets, far too cautious to fall for a vague trap. If I win, I want my freedom. I want the debt between us cleared. If you win, what do you want? If I win, you have to feed me a drink. She stared at him, bewildered. Just a glass of wine? That's it. If you think it's too simple, then you should take the bet. I want you to be clearer. Wang Haoran stood up from the sofa, his eyes dropping to her vibrant, red lips. He offered a faint, knowing smile. Next time I come to see you, remember to wipe off the lipstick first. I don't like the taste of it. He turned and left the room before she could respond. Zhou Chania watched him disappear, her silence serving as a tacit agreement. The stakes were lopsided. If she won, she gained her life back. If she lost, the price was an intimate, albeit manageable, embarrassment. It was a gamble she was willing to take. Chapter 123. Estimation Errors. A new day arrived. Wang Haoran stepped out of the Dehao Hotel, his spirits high and his energy restored. Around noon, his phone buzzed. It was Tang Bingyun. After their long conversation yesterday regarding her grandfather and the marriage contract, he figured she had finally spent enough time thinking things through. He answered with a sense of expectation. Auntie Tang? When do you finish your classes tonight? Her voice was steady, professional, yet carried a hint of something else. Around 9:30, Wang Haoran replied. Is something on your mind? Nothing specific. You've helped me quite a bit lately, and I'd like to invite you to dinner. I know 9:30 is a bit late, but what do you think? Wang Haoran glanced at his schedule. Between his classes and her high-pressure role at the company, their windows of free time rarely aligned. Late night was their only option. Since you've asked, I'll certainly be there. He leaned back in his chair, a silent question forming. If they started dinner near 10 o'clock, what exactly would be on the menu for the rest of the night? Good. I'll pick you up in person, Tang Bingyun added. I have a driver. I can meet you there, Wang Haoran countered, not quite catching her drift. No, I'll come to you. It's more sincere that way. Sincerity. Wang Haoran didn't buy it for a second. If Tang Bingyun was being this insistent on a personal pickup, she was likely worried about gossip. She was a peer of his mother, Zhen Li. If word got back that she was taking a high school student out for private midnight dinners, the social fallout would be immense. Fine, he agreed. Come pick me up. Time slipped away. Night fell, and the clock finally struck 9:30. Tang Bingyun arrived in a silver Audi A3. It was a modest car for a woman of her immense wealth, worth perhaps 200,000 or 300,000 yuan. It was clearly borrowed or rented. Driving her usual luxury vehicles would draw too many eyes. She was hiding. Wang Haoran's curiosity piqued. If she was going to such lengths to be discreet, her plans for the evening had to be significant. 10 minutes later, they pulled into a quiet underground parking garage. As Tang Bingyun prepared to exit the vehicle, she donned a pair of large sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat. Auntie Tang, you're wearing sunglasses in a basement at night. Aren't you worried you won't see where you're going? My eyesight is excellent. I can see perfectly. She stepped out of the car and immediately nearly collided with a parked SUV. Perhaps the glasses should come off, Wang Haoran suggested. They stay on, she insisted, her tone stubborn. They took the elevator up, emerging into a lush, dimly lit restaurant. Wang Haoran took one look at the decor and understood everything. It was a famous lover's retreat, a place designed specifically for couples seeking intimacy. No wonder she was dressed like a spy. She was terrified of being recognized. Even at this late hour, the lounge area was crowded with couples waiting for tables. Tang Bingyun had bypassed the queue by booking the most expensive suite in the establishment. A waiter guided them to a massive, two-story luxury suite. It was more of an apartment than a dining room, featuring a private kitchen, a sprawling relaxation area, a marble bathroom, and a plush bedroom. It was a one-stop shop for a romantic evening. Wang Haoran took a quick lap around the suite before returning to the table. He looked at Tang Bingyun, his eyebrows raised. "The food here is supposed to be delicious," she said, her voice a bit too calm. "That's the only reason I chose this place. Don't overthink it. Better food. Have you been here before?" "Of course not. I don't have a boyfriend, so why would I come here?" "A friend recommended it." "Oh," Wang Haoran replied, dragging the word out. "I see." She handed him the menu. It was a collection of puns and romantic metaphors. Dishes were titled Inseparable, Flying Together, and 100 Years of Harmony. Flying Together turned out to be duck rolls. 100 Years of Harmony was a simple mix of celery, lily, and shrimp. The prices, however, were anything but simple. Wang Haoran had a refined palate and little appetite for the restaurant's gimmickry, but he ordered 3 dishes as a courtesy. The total hit 10,000 yuan instantly. Tang Bingyun didn't flinch. She ordered several more items and a bottle of 1982 Lafite. The bill surpassed 130,000 yuan before the waiter even left the room. The suite dimmed as the ambient lighting shifted to a soft, romantic glow. They began to eat, the atmosphere thick and heavy. Halfway through the meal, Tang Bingyun suddenly gasped, her hand flying to her throat. "Help," she choked out, coughing into her napkin. "Get me some water. Right away." Wang Haoran stood quickly, pouring a fresh glass and handing it to her. "Are you okay?" "Much better." She took a long sip, her coughing fit vanishing as quickly as it had started. She picked up her wine glass and held it out. "Haoran, thank you for everything you've done for me recently. A toast." "You're being too polite, Auntie Tang." Wang Haoran smiled and raised his glass. The crystal clinked with a pleasant ring. He brought the wine to his lips, but he stopped just as the liquid touched his tongue. Something was wrong. There was a faint, bitter metallic tang in the red wine that shouldn't be there. He glanced up at Tang Bingyun. She wasn't looking at him. Her eyes were fixed on her own glass, her fingers trembling slightly. The coughing fit had been a distraction. She had spiked his drink while his back was turned. "Why aren't you drinking?" she asked, her voice tight with nerves. "I am." He offered a reassured smile and drained the glass. Based on his mastery of the Supreme Poison Sutra, he knew the substance wasn't lethal. It wouldn't harm his body long term. Given her high favorability, he doubted she would try to kill him. He assumed it was an aphrodisiac, something to lower his inhibitions and force the issue of their relationship. He waited for the heat to hit his blood. 2 minutes passed. Instead of fire, a wave of heavy, leaden exhaustion crashed over him. His head spun. The room blurred into a haze of soft lights and shadows. He realized his mistake. This wasn't a stimulant. It was a powerful sedative. As his chin hit the table and consciousness slipped away, one final thought drifted through his mind. His estimation had been very, very wrong. Chapter 124. Reception. Awareness returned slowly. Wang Haoran found himself sprawled across the expansive mattress of a luxury suite. A crisp white quilt covered him, but the sheets beneath his body were missing, seemingly stripped away with deliberate intent. Outside the window, the world remained draped in the heavy ink of night. A glance at his watch confirmed the time, 3 in the morning. The room was deathly silent, save for his own breathing. Tang Bingyun was gone. A digital chime echoed in his mind. A system prompt had arrived during his unconscious hours. "Congratulations to the host for being captured by Tang Bingyun, one of the heroines. Triggering double rewards, 2,000 villain points awarded. Yan Guishan Protagonist Halo -100. Tang Bingyun Heroine Halo -100. Host Villain Halo +200. The magnitude of the reward was staggering, hitting a new personal high, yet satisfaction eluded him. A hollow frustration gnawed at his gut. He hadn't possessed a shred of consciousness during the encounter. It was as if he had simply blinked and missed the entire event. More importantly, the blow to his ego was significant. As a calculated supervillain, he was supposed to be the aggressor, the one leading the charge. To be handled like this by the heroine was, frankly, shameful. He slumped back against the pillows, mentally cursing Tang Bingyun. Why the sedatives? He grumbled. No interaction, no shared experience. Isn't that exhausting for you? And to leave without a single word? What do you take me for? The afternoon sun beat down on the school grounds during the midday break. Qin Yunhen had summoned Wang Haoran to the quiet sanctuary of the flower garden. Sheltered by vibrant blooms, they were shielded from the prying eyes of other students. What's wrong? You look miserable, Qin Yunhen asked, her voice tight with nerves as she searched his expressionless face. Did I do something to annoy you again? I'm just preoccupied with some study problems, Wang Haoran lied smoothly. He couldn't exactly explain the Tang Bingyun situation, so he leaned into a convenient excuse. I'm fine, just distracted. What university are you planning to attend? She asked softly. Qingling University. The answer came without hesitation. While Qingling University didn't crack the national top 10, it sat comfortably just behind the elite tier. With his perfect grades, Wang Haoran could have gone anywhere, but he refused to leave his base of operations. The Wang family's influence was concentrated here. To dismantle protagonists effectively, he needed the home field advantage. In a strange city, he would be nothing more than a rich kid with a bank account and no shadow. Are you really choosing Qingling? Qin Yunhan's eyes brightened with sudden hope. I am. She stared at him, her eyes glistening. She leaned her head against his shoulder, her breath hitching. Ding. The host deeply touched the heart of the heroine Qin Yunhan. 300 villain points awarded. I haven't been studying very hard, she whispered. My grades aren't great, and I knew I had no hope for the top-tier schools. But I can definitely get into Qingling University. She tilted her face up, looking at him with moist, searching eyes. Are you really giving up the best universities just to stay near me? Won't you regret it? Wang Haoran paused. His choice had everything to do with logistics, and nothing to do with her, but she had already constructed a beautiful romantic tragedy in her head. I've made my choice, he said, injecting a layer of profound affection into his voice. I'm staying at Qingling University because I refuse to be separated from you. Ding. Heroine Qin Yunhan's favorability has increased by 5. Current total 95, until death. Ding. The host has successfully altered the plot direction. 200 villain points awarded. Brother Haoran. She looked ready to melt, her eyes fluttering shut as she lifted her face toward his. It was a perfect, cinematic moment. Wang Haoran began to lean in, ready to fulfill her unspoken request. Then, his phone shrieked in his pocket. The spell broke instantly. I'm at the school gate, a familiar voice said when he answered. Come out now. I'm taking you somewhere. I'm on my way. He hung up and stood. Who was that? Qin Yunhan asked, trying to mask her disappointment. A rich woman is looking for me. I have to go. Ding. The host has triggered jealousy in heroine Qin Yunhan. 100 villain points awarded. Her brow furrowed, and for a moment, it looked like she might insist on coming along. The rich woman's name is Zhen Li, Wang Haoran teased. Are you sure you want to meet her? Zhen Li. Your mother? Qin Yunhan's jealousy vanished, replaced by a flash of terror. She waved her hands frantically. No. Go. I'm definitely not going. The prospect of meeting the in-laws, while feeling like an unprepared daughter-in-law, was enough to send her scurrying in the opposite direction. At the school gate, the elegant Zhen Li leaned against a bright red Ferrari. She beamed as Wang Haoran approached. My precious son has grown even more handsome since breakfast. Where are we going? Wang Haoran asked as he climbed in. He was still waiting for word from Zhou Chunayo, and didn't want to miss the clash between Shen Kong and Yan Guishan. A high-level cocktail party. The city's top business leaders will be there. I want to introduce you properly so they know exactly who you are. That way, they won't accidentally offend you in the future. I still have classes. It won't take long. I'll have you back in your seat before you're missed. She accelerated away from the curb. Soon, they arrived at a sprawling private villa. The driveway was a graveyard of luxury markets, suggesting a significant gathering. As they entered, the crowd parted. Those who recognized Zhen Li offered polite nods and deep bows. Zhen Li played the room with practiced ease, introducing her son at every turn. The guests were quick to shower him with praise, noting his height, his looks, and his apparent talent. In the Qingling business world, the Wang and Zhen names carried immense weight. Wang Xiang was a top 5 tycoon, and Zhen Li's own company, Gusi Tingxiang, put her among the city's 3 wealthiest women. Listen to me, son, Zhen Li said, her tone hearth-warm, but her words sharp. When you leave school and enter the world, if you have a conflict with someone, don't hold back. Give them a lesson they won't forget. If things get messy, your mother will always be there to clean it up. Wang Haoran listened, feeling a flicker of amusement. If he were a mindless, secondary villain, this would be the moment he'd decide to go out and start a fight with the wrong person. He'd provoke a protagonist and get himself crushed. A thought struck him as he surveyed the opulent ballroom. With this many powerful people in one room, and a setting this grand, is it possible a protagonist is already here? Chapter 125. Already married. A BMW X1 shuddered to a halt outside the grand villa. The vehicle looked painfully shabby against the backdrop of million-dollar luxury cars lining the drive. A middle-aged couple and a beautiful young woman stepped out, their presence immediately clashing with the opulence around them. I must have committed a terrible sin in a past life, the middle-aged woman hissed, her face pinched and mean. Li Manli adjusted her cheap dress, her voice a sharp rasp of resentment. I have to put up with such a waste for a son-in-law. I told him to get a decent car for tonight, and he brings us this broken X1. Utterly useless. Yang Tai, the middle-aged man, shifted uncomfortably. We only gave the boy a few $100s, dear. Renting an X1 for that price is actually quite a feat. Don't you dare defend him. My blood boils just thinking about it. Li Manli's spit flew as her words sharpened. Other families have sons-in-law earning tens of millions a year. They live in villas and drive Porsches. Ours? He doesn't even have a job. He expects us to pay for his very existence. Yang Tai looked at the gravel beneath his shoes. He does all the housework. He cooks every meal. He doesn't have the time to go out and work. And you're just as much of a failure. Li Manli turned her venom on her husband. Your business was a disaster. You had to sell our villa and our Porsche just to keep us afloat. I was a legendary beauty back in the day. Men were lined up for blocks to catch a glimpse of me. Why did I ever choose a piece of junk like you? Yang Tai fell into a shamed silence. Mom, the beautiful young woman interrupted, her voice tight with exhaustion. Yang Jingwan looked toward the villa, hoping to avoid a scene. You can say these things at home. We are in public now. Please, just stop. Oh, and you're useless too. Li Manli snapped, turning on her daughter. I gave birth to a girl this stunning, and I counted on a wealthy son-in-law to secure my future. Instead, you found a loser who makes my life a misery. Tears misted Yang Jingwan's eyes. Mom, can you really blame me for this? Was I the one who wanted to marry him? The sight of her daughter's grief finally silenced Li Manli. Even her bitter heart couldn't quite bear to push the girl any further. It's my fault. All my fault. Yang Tai's face twisted in agony. He hammered a fist against his chest. 1 year ago, his business had been a sinking ship, drowning in a sea of debt. Desperate to change his fortune, he and his wife had sought out a renowned fortune teller. The mystic had delivered a grim prophecy. A great doom loomed over their family, and their financial ruin was only the beginning. The solution, according to the fortune teller, lay in Yang Jingwan. Her fate was in direct conflict with her parents. To resolve the curse, they had to recruit a son-in-law with a very specific, matching fate to marry into the family. Following the mystic's guidance, they had found a homeless man living on the streets. Over their daughter's tearful protests, they forced the marriage. Strangely, the chaos at home subsided. Their lives stabilized, even if the wealth never returned. But as the fear faded, Li Manli's resentment grew. Her daughter was a masterpiece of nature, a delicate flower planted in cow dung. Dad, please don't do this, Yang Jingwan said, grabbing her father's hand to stop him from striking himself. Stop making a scene, Li Manli commanded, straightening her posture. I spent months securing an invitation to this reception. This is our chance. If we can find a noble patron, our family can finally turn things around. Yang Tai currently worked as a lowly foreman. He had the crew, but he lacked the contracts. A single connection tonight could change everything. The three entered the villa's grand hall. The space was cavernous, rivaling a high-end hotel ballroom. Li Manli's eyes darted around, searching for an opening. Look at that woman in the designer dress, Li Manli whispered, pointing toward a figure holding a wine glass. The diamonds on her bodice are dazzling. She must be immensely wealthy. I'm going to introduce myself. She smoothed her hair and hurried toward the woman, a forced, sycophantic smile plastered on her face. Hello, beautiful lady. Your attire is absolutely breathtaking. Zhen Li turned, her sharp eyes scanning the newcomer. She caught the faint, chemical scent of the woman's perfume. It was a cheap, inferior blend, likely costing a few $100s at most. In Zhen Li's world, low-quality perfume was the ultimate mark of the poor. Go away, Zhen Li said, waving a hand as if shooing a fly. I don't like the smell of your perfume. Li Manli froze, her face flushing a deep, embarrassed red. If you don't wish to speak with us, you could say so politely, Yang Jingwan said, stepping forward to defend her mother. There is no need to belittle people, Zhen Li snorted. And who are you to teach me how to speak? Give me your name. Yang Tai hurried over before his daughter could respond. Please, ma'am, forgive us. My name is Yang Tai. This is my daughter, Jingwan, and my wife, Li Manli. We didn't mean to intrude. We will leave at once. He began to usher his family away, but a voice from behind stopped them. Mom, who are these people? Wang Haoran stepped back into the hall after a brief trip to the restroom. His mother shrugged. Just some minor characters. Ignore them. Wang Haoran didn't look at his mother. His gaze was fixed on Yang Jingwan. She was striking. Her temperament was a solid 95, her face a 96, and her figure a 97. She was a high-tier beauty by any standard. Zhen Li noticed her son's lingering gaze and immediately changed her tune. Wait a minute. Yang Tai turned back, confused. Yes, ma'am. Come here, Zhen Li commanded, pointing directly at Yang Jingwan. My son wants to get to know you. Wang Haoran looked at his mother, speechless. Zhen Li offered a quick wink, a silent message, don't thank me, son. This is what a good mother does. When Yang Jingwan remained frozen, Zhen Li's voice sharpened. I told you to come here. Are you deaf? Yang Jingwan looked at Wang Haoran. His handsome features were undeniably appealing, but she stood her ground. I am already married, she said firmly. Wang Haoran felt a familiar twinge of regret. A beauty this young and radiant, already someone else's wife. It was a waste. His interest plummeted instantly. He had suspected she might be a heroine, but a married woman didn't fit the typical iceberg CEO mold. Is there a protagonist template for a married woman? He wondered. Then, a memory surfaced of a particularly cliché genre of web novels. It hit him like a lightning bolt. The Live-In Son-in-Law. To be continued. Hope you liked today's video. Join the community by subscribing and dropping a like. I'll be back with another update tomorrow. See you then.